along with the start of the annual Freedom Shield military exercises conducted by South Korea. Russia has expelled 2 British diplomats from its embassy in Moscow, accusing them of espionage activities that allegedly threatened national security. Joseph Eckerson reports.
The diplomats have been ordered to leave Russia within 2 weeks. The UK's Foreign Office condemned the allegations as malicious and baseless.
Israel continues to cut off electricity supplies to Gaza, impacting a desalination plant that produces drinking water for the region.
Hamas condemned the move, labeling it as part of Israel's starvation policy.
A severe thunderstorm in Ennis, Texas, resulted in the death of a man and injuries to 3 family members when their recreational vehicle flipped multiple times at the Texas Motorplex.
The high winds also tore the roof off a Days Inn along Interstate 45.
This is News in 60 with Alan Edwards.
North Korea has launched multiple ballistic missiles into the sea from its...
of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as
every day
fact.
it's something new.
Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
It feels like I made that crappy mistake. I don't know how this happened. Nobody left to try it.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Go ahead. I'm making you laugh. Making me. No, you make cake. That's supposed to work. Somebody makes the other person laugh. Hey. I don't know. All right, let's get a little bit of over and over again. See if this one. Loop button. I'm sorry, I'm just a curmudgeonly loop button guy. It's gonna. Look, it turned off all by itself. Happy loop day, hump day. Good morning, folks. It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2024, 2025. Yeah. Are you familiar with The Worst Thing That Can Happen the First Thing This Morning by Willie Nelson? It's a song about waking up and everything that could go wrong goes wrong. You spill a coffee, you trip, you bang, the post guy leaves the mail in the wrong place, the garbage man knocks over the garbage on the sidewalk. Welcome to my day so far. Spilled the coffee, tripped several times, klutzy stuff everywhere, banging into stuff, breaking stuff, tables falling apart, and we have a show to do. Unfortunately, Steven's just texting me again in inappropriate times. He's texting me, would you like to see my dick pics? Wait, I'm sorry. Wow. Anyway, Steven's not with us. Something weird's going on with Steven. He's doing work or something. He's got some personal. Steven's got some stuff going on in his life, and you know what? Been there. It feels like when it rains, it pours. When you know what? I don't know if you know this, but you might bring this stuff upon you. No, sorry, Willie. Shit happens, and it's not anybody's fault, and you don't bring it upon yourself. What happened? What do you mean? I'm just reading the text message that flew across here. Do I have to die for him? But it's not me. It's just never mind. Everything. So I told you, everything could go wrong. Here's one thing I want to talk about before we have a good show for you. I think we have authors on with some kumbaya to start off today. What is this? I'm getting messages all around from different people on different machines. It's very disconcerting. We have authors who are going to bring us some kumbaya wisdom place in the first hour. In the second hour, we have Jason Stewart, who's an actor and a stand-up. And I think, I'm not sure where we got him from. I think GD might have sent him our way. Maybe Leanna Linsky. I don't know how he got on my calendar. I've been having a lot of this lately. People ending up on the calendar. I have no idea how they got there. So that's the kind of show we have for you today. We'll try to make the best of it. Again, Stephen won't be here. Some stuff going on for him, but we'll make the best of it. In the meantime, I want to play you. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about? I wanted to tell you about this one thing. Because in the news, I don't know if you listen to the news. Do you pay attention to the news when we play the news? Or am I just doing this just because paying this guy the rest of his contract and then getting rid of him? Basically, Doge is taking credit for finding all this fraud and corruption within the government. How come nobody's been arrested? Fraud is a crime. Corruption, just within the name of it, sounds like somebody should get arrested, right? They're finding all this. Not one single person has been charged with anything. Fraud and corruption. Nobody's getting charged. They're just fired. There you can go. It doesn't. Maybe somebody's lying to us. That's all I'm saying. I could be right. I could be wrong. I'm often wrong, as you noted yesterday. I forgot what I was wrong about yesterday, but there had to be something. Anyway, we'll be back in a moment after these words from our sponsors, and then we'll meet our first guest after the Dog Pound guys come in and just tell me what I'm wrong about, because they probably remember what I'm wrong about. Anyway, in the meantime, let's listen to this. I said, let's listen.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
Ad spot. Oh, look at Ron. He's all blurred out and missing. Kid who's reading that ad spot, it sounds like he's on ketamine or something, or maybe he needs ketamine. Just low energy. In the room with me right now are the Invisible Man, Claude Rains. Claude Rains Kane is with us up in the top left. And GD, the Shadow Dew Fenderson. Good morning.
Good morning, America. MyDogTV.com.
Sorry about that. I really am.
Do you actually listen to the news, or do you just have it blah 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 blah? Good brew. Trust your gut again.
Trust your gut again. I like that. Did you? Was that their motto, or did you come up with that?
That's the motto I came up and I gave it to them, so they gave me the product.
All right. GD is now the new marketing consultant for Good Brew. He's a good bro who's a good brew consultant. Yeah. Do you feel better? I mean, now that you've been good brewing yourself.
According to my wife, since I've been using this, my neighbor is better in bed. So I think it's working.
All right. Do you get a residual? I mean,
no, because I actually washed the sheets. What do you think? They're animals? No, there's no residual.
There was a joke about this. Like a guy's wife said, such and such has been sleeping with every woman on the block except one, and the husband said, "Which one?"
At this point, I think you gotta wait for him to get.
What? Oh, is Ron on the phone? Should I take him out of here? We're gonna hear his.
No, because he might say something about us. It may be, I bet he may be arranging a hit on Steven's dad.
No, do you know the situation? I thought Steven and his dad didn't like each other, were estranged, not talking.
Yeah, but if you are estranged from someone and you have the opportunity to be
Why?
the last person, be the last person that they see before they die? Wouldn't you want to be that last person so that you can
No.
time it just right, just before they go, you go,
That sounds
"Are you
sadistic.
sorry now? You shouldn't have done that." Or,
I
"How you like this pillow?" Something, so that you can be the last thing they see.
I get it, but it sounds a little sadistic. It sounds a little last word. People always have to have the last word in the conversation. That's what it feels like. I win because I'm still talking and you died.
Well, yeah, see, Stephen says something like that. And I'm not sure which like that, because again, he makes the mistake that everybody makes in the chat room. Like, we can read your thoughts. You can't put out 3 words with no punctuation and have us know what you're talking about.
Oh,
You
he's in
need
the chat room?
you need sentences, concise sentences, so that we have an idea.
Yeah.
We don't have time to dig.
Right. But like with Ron now, because it did sound like he was on the phone in the background. My wife, she was taking video of the raccoon attacking the cat food or whatever, and and just showing the Facebook and Twitter and whatever, all the raccoons messing with the chickens, the cats, whatever, and did not realize that the mic on her phone picks up her daughter and her daughter's fiance's conversation in great detail, and she put it all over social media. Like, everybody was like taking notes on the conversation. I think they said some spicy things. I don't know, but that's why I took Ron out.
Now,
Hopefully, he'll be
well, that's why you keep him in, because if you think your wife has spicy conversations, imagine what Ron's are like, because we know.
I know, but that's why I didn't want to put it on. But now, do we know what's happening with Ron? The question is Ron's father already dead?
Ron's father died before Ron was born.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
His Ron's mother was pregnant with Ron when
They got shot in the head or something.
right.
Wow,
And then Ron crawled back up into the womb and got rid of the gun.
Wow, I feel terrible for even asking now.
Oh no, he makes jokes about it on stage.
He
He does.
Well, I would too, but that's wow, good for him. So the point is, he's not doing what Steven's doing today, and it's kind of sadistically.
No, now his grandmother is close to death, so he could be like he didn't want to like miss the show for his grandmother to pass over, so he's just like,
I didn't want to miss the show of his grandmother dying. That's
yeah, right. So he's like giving last instructions. He's doing it over the phone. He's like, well, what is her pulse? Wow. No, I can't make a decision on the pull it yet. No, don't pull it yet. Call me when her pulse gets down to 17. Wow. And that's what he's doing right now. He goes, what is it now?
You had to pull the plug, right? Did you have
yeah, I had to pull the plug, and he didn't die, and I had to live with that for the rest of my life.
So when you say they didn't die, did they come back?
No, they weren't supposed to live. They weren't. It was my sister.
Right.
And they told my mother, you have to make a decision. And my mother goes, I can't kill my firstborn. So I said, I'll do it. So I the thing is, I held my sister's hand because I believe that when people are like in comas, they can hear you, and that's mainly because I was in a coma and I could hear. So I'm thinking that. So I carry that with me. At least that's like says my belief. Oh. So I was talking to my sister and I was telling her, look, it's okay to let go. And the thing is, I don't have great bedside manner. So I said to my sister, look, you can let go. Don't worry about your kids. You didn't take care of them anyway. We've been taking care of your kids since they were born. So you can just let go. Don't worry about the kids. If you're hanging on for the kids, don't worry. We got them. We've always taken care of your kids. Wow. And then I said to the doctor, okay, you can pull the plug. And they go, beep. Then after like 30 seconds, everybody looks and goes, it's a miracle. And I got so upset because I'm like, oh, God damn it. I'm never going to hear the end of this. It's like every Thanksgiving. Oh, Cookie, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful that my little brother can't do anything right. So.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? I'm scratching my right hand here. You ever hear that old wives' tale that, I don't know, itchy palm? If it's your right hand, you're coming into money. If it's your left hand,
You're coming into your hand.
you're getting rid of. I mean, you're paying out on the left.
Well, now my mother's version of the old wives' tale is if your hand is itching, you're gonna get money, but don't scratch it because you scratch the itch, then the money won't come.
Why did you just? No, I was just gonna say it just kind of proved right because as I was scratching my hand, I got a payment that was very late. I've been waiting for this payment from one of these companies that I do some consulting for. You know, this.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
I would love to get paid for the da, but I don't have the credentials. I didn't study in school. I should have paid more attention.
The deal is when you stop working for corporate America and you start working for yourself and doing stuff, you spend most of your time chasing people down for the money they owe you. Like, it's in the mail. Or, hey, in the mail, it's direct deposit. What the hell are you talking about? Most of my life is chasing after people for money.
I think when I had my first company where I had to send contracts out to people with the 30-day billing cycles and stuff, I think that first year, almost all of my income was like, it's coming, it's coming, income incoming. But I wrote off more losses that first year.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the first year was so bad that I just couldn't continue the business. I'm a bad business person.
I know. Me too. I think most people who are in the performing arts are bad business people. That's why it's very rare to find somebody who's got both the performing arts stuff down and managing their own career or business as
that's why
administrative work. Who the hell?
That's why people, even if there's an artist that I do not like their stuff, or I can appreciate their business acumen because it's as smart as I'm supposed to be. So it's not an intelligence thing when it comes to business. It's not an intelligence thing. I can get the contracts. It's just something that's in my soul that just doesn't click.
I'll tell you what it is. It's boredom. I don't want to read through all this minutia of blah blah blah. Come on, just let's get to the point. How much you paying me? Where I got to be? Which one and where? How? And that's what you want. It's boredom. I don't got time for all your legalese and actuarially whatever. I don't know. So I guess we'll let Ron do what he's doing, and we'll bring him in later. First guests are here. Let's meet them. You know how in the beginning it says no kumbaya. I think we're gonna get some kumbaya, and maybe I am very negative on kumbaya, but maybe I need some today with that because I woke up this morning, spilled the coffee, cracked my knee, stumbled, broke stuff. Pushed all the wrong buttons starting the show. I hate it.
And when I wake up in the morning, I crack the sky. You crack the I crack the sky.
Excuse me while I crack.
Excuse me while I crack this sky. And I mean, some people crack eggs. Crack.
I think the egg. You crack an egg. You gotta. It's 50-cent surcharge on the crack.
I don't get me started on eggs.
Cheap. That's probably cheap.
There's the old joke, and I mean it's like a really old joke where it says that the woman brings her husband into the psychiatrist. Says, "Can you help me? My husband thinks he's a chicken," or something like that, and says, "Do you want me to cure him?" He goes, "No, we need the eggs," or something like that. I'm sure Jackie has that joke down pat.
I'm gonna have to check on that because as far as I know, the male chickens, otherwise known as the roosters, no eggs.
Yeah, but that's why her husband only thinks he's a chicken.
Yeah. Now there's a Seinfeld episode where what's his name? Ben Stiller's father. What's his father's name?
Ben
Stiller. Stiller.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he's talking about the rooster has sex with the chicken and the hen. I can't remember the part about it, but somebody burst in. They all have sex together. The rooster is a chicken. The rooster has sex with everybody. I don't know.
Now, I think there's a joke that I made up when I was younger. It was like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And it said the chicken if the rooster knows what he's doing.
Oh, that's
So,
bad.
but
Well,
I
I don't
was
know if you
young.
know this, but I'm pretty good with a chicken.
I was like 12 or 13 years old when I thought of that one.
Right.
I wrote it for my aunt for one of
Right.
her cards. I used to design cards, the artwork, and I used to put a poem in, and people would pay me like $5 a card, which was good money when I was in the 5th grade.
That's great money. I got
Yeah.
paid $5 an hour to sit naked in front of an art class. Foul-mouthed teacher is with us, and he says, I thought it was excuse me while I kissed this guy, which is very appropriate for today's program because in hour 2, Jason Stewart, who is
Polly Orpheus.
Yeah. He in his demo reel of his acting, he's doing quite a lot of kissing guys.
Yeah.
So appropriate for today. But back to Kumbaya and our first guest. There are authors Chip Sullivan and Elizabeth Boltz. I hope I'm saying her last name right. Experienced collaborators and with established reputations as authorities in their discipline. We're talking about. I didn't know we were going to be talking about discipline today. Did you?
I have none to speak of.
Chip is nationally and internationally recognized for his expertise in landscape representation and illustration.
That's why I have this drop behind me. It's the
I can earn it. Yeah.
Yes, he's
all right. Children of the Urn. As well as innovative energy conserving design, Elizabeth has particular background in environmental design, history, and communication. Both are considered motivational and inspirational and mentors. But I think here's the thing where I think we're going to get to some kumbaya because the book Wisdom of Place that they have out is called, has been called, a visually and intellectually stimulating merger of art, nature, and metaphysics. They're here now. Let's say hello.
I love metaphysics. That's one of my. That's one of my.
And Elizabeth
That's
Boltz. Now
one of my favorite physics.
Hold on. According to the billing, Chip got a top billing, but according to the little name tag down there, Elizabeth's getting top billing. I think that we have
wisdom.
So now, but it seems like we already have a power dynamic here where Elizabeth's getting top billing, and metaphysics. I'm not sure that works together.
No, it's as above, so below. So there's a hierarchy there. There's a hierarchy here.
Gives you alchemical knowledge. Good for you.
That is one of our cards. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is going to be, I don't know if it's your kumbaya moment, but it's going to be part woo-woo and part science maybe. So
I would love it to be all of the above. Listen, I am negative on kumbaya only because I get the nuts. I get from
the nuts.
What?
You get the nuts.
Yeah. No, I get
sometimes. What does that even mean?
No, some people, I'm sorry, Matt, you know what you're thinking. I don't want to speak for you.
Right.
But this is what Matt is saying. No, I'm just go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Matt. I'm going to mute my mic while you talk.
The kumbaya I get is a law of attraction thing that says everything that you manifest in your life is your own doing. You are bringing these things into your life. And then if I get mad at one of those people for saying things, it's my fault. It's still my fault. They're not accepting that the anger that they triggered in me was manifest by them. Hey, wait a minute. I can't be the only one manifesting right around here. Somebody else has got to take responsibility for their own manifestations, even if their manifestation is me being angry at you. That's where the kumbaya came in. I can't show the book because we usually have a layout that is more conducive. It goes right. Probably going to cover your face. Let me just see if I can show the book cover.
Can you do it as an overlay so it just covers everybody momentarily?
Yeah, see, that's no good. It's going to cover them.
Oh, look at that. Go. That's fancy.
You know what? With Ron, we're here. I'll just put his camera in there so we can do that. We can show the book now. Oh, no, it's going to cover Chip.
It's magic.
Anyway, we don't want to cover Chip. Let me see.
I got it. Hit me down there. You can just cover me with the book, and I can slide over physically.
There you go. We have the wisdomplace.com. The name of the book is The Wisdom Place. We'll show it when we have the right layout here. Tell me a little bit about the book.
So we are on a mission to re-enchant the landscape. We're both landscape architects, and one of the things that we learn in school is called genius loci. So that's like a Roman term, and it means spirit of place. But when's the last time that you like heard the mountain or listened to the wind, right? It's like a way of getting in touch with nature and building environmental conscious, because if you think that the river is your mother, you're not going to pollute it. So we look at myths and folklore from around the world, and we do it in this way called the tarot, if you guys are into tarot at all. So there's your woo-woo part. But we use the tarot to talk about like environmental principles. So you talked about you said like as above and so below. So that's the Wheel of Fortune, right? But we don't talk about the Wheel of Fortune. We talk about the hydrologic cycle. So there's going to be periods of flood and periods of drought. So it's an ecological system, but then you can also think about that in your life, right? There's periods of drought, like metaphysically, metaphorically, there's periods of drought and periods of flood.
So would the hangman card be the suspension of belief in climate change?
Not in our deck.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm saying.
Probably some other famous people's deck, but not our deck.
Okay.
I mean, this is real, people. It's happening.
Well, I started out by being anti-kumbaya guy, but in this respect, I'm a landscape painter, and now I'm back into it. It's one of these things that I pick up and put down all my life. But a big part of it, part of the influence in my landscape painting, is the first chapter of the Celestine Prophecy, or first or second chapter, where they're kind of taking in nature and experiencing the energy of it in a magical kind of way. I am all for that. So you won me over pretty quickly onto the Kumbaya train. So congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm a honeydew landscaper. My wife says, "Honey, do crop that grass.
Oh, yeah.
Honey, do take care of those roots sticking out of the ground. Honey, do replant those." So.
You know what? To be honest, this time of year, we basically don't get him in his studio there. We often see him in his backyard.
I asked my wife if I should start doing that again, because that's really convenient for me to actually be working and stuff. But she says no, because you have to listen to people now.
All right.
Buying two jobs for the price of one.
I'm confused though a little bit about this tarot stuff. Do you actually work with a deck while you're writing? I mean, do you go through all the I don't know, the rituals of the way they make you hold the deck in your left hand and whatever do you do that? Is there magical principles to it?
Well, it kind of the whole process came about, like my chair wanted me to teach a class called Sacred Landscapes, and each lecture that I gave discussed different kind of like magical principles about the landscape. And after, I'd always have my students like design these principles, like put 4 boxes and illustrate it. So like after the second review, I'm looking at their work and I said, hey, these look just like tarot cards. How would you like to do a set of tarot cards based on the lectures of the class? And they unanimously said yes. So the original goal was to kind of come up with a kind of vocabulary of mythological kind of sacred landscapes that we could look at and pull apart and kind of like, sort of a catalog of these ancient principles of the kind of divinity of the landscape. I mean, for thousands of years, societies have worshipped these deities that represented the landscape. And that was kind of the idea, is to kind of create this vocabulary that kind of to bring it to light, and you'd have it there. And then that slowly, then we came up with the idea to kind of.
So we did research on all these ecological principles, because our big goal is just environmental consciousness. Like, people are so far removed from nature. Everybody's in their screen. Like you, Matt, nobody's going out and painting the tree or like really looking at the landscape. And we kind of feel that that's really important for our well-being. It's important for the health of the planet. So the tarot just came to be the way that we organized the book. But I have to say, we're so grateful. People really, really liked it. Like, tarot is having a moment right now. So then our publisher said, can you guys also just do the deck? So we do have all the illustrations as a deck of tarot cards.
I was going to say,
did you illustrate your own deck?
I
Did
would
you
have
get?
worked on the merchandising aspect of it. Like, is there some money in this for us? Can we do something?
Yeah, we're not very good at that.
Yeah. So as we talked before you came on, I think I mentioned to GD that I don't think anybody in the creative arts is really good at that. I'm sorry, GD. I'm stepping all over you. Go ahead.
That's okay. I'm used to it. I'm black. No, I do you.
It's an environmental thing.
Yeah, it's so. The tarot deck. Did you design your own artwork for the deck, or did you use a pre-established deck?
No, it's our own artwork. So we alternate. Chip is great at watercolor and ink, and I like more of a collage kind of composite imagery. It's all hand cut paper. I don't do like digital work. So it's kind of like a conversation between our artwork that then is the illustration of the tarot card.
So we kind of like have we dialogue back and forth, kind of had a discussion, like, so the cards also, because Liz would do one and I would do another, they kind of have an interesting kind of dialogue between the two cards. And, you were saying you're a landscape painter. And one of the things I think is important, you draw what you see, but do you see what you draw? And the idea behind the cards is, can you like look beyond the landscape? Can you see those hidden flows of energy? Like when you're painting a tree, there's a million kind of like microscopic life forms and kind of cycles of life that are going on in that. And if you paint a landscape, the ecosystem has these hidden webs, because I mean, it's really wonderful. Recent research has determined that trees and plants actually communicate underground. And to me, that is really a breakthrough, that plant life is actually communicating with one another. And it kind of like brings forth that idea of the hidden webs.
You guys have heard of the Wood Wide Web, right? The mushroom network.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yes. Oh yeah.
I think that's one of your advertisers.
One of your sponsors, yeah.
I think there is definitely something to that. And listen, when it comes back to the creative aspect of it, people used to make fun of Bob Ross, one of my mentors, thinking about the happy little animals that might live in here. When he's painting, he's opening up his imagination to not just, okay, I'm painting a bush, but what does this bush actually mean in relation to this whole world that I'm creating here on the canvas? And so I think there is some, connectivity there between letting your imagination experience what that might be when you look at a landscape and notice little things like the fog that's in there and how that affects the species that live in there and all that kind of stuff.
I just got this thing now. I want to do a Bob Ross painting as Bob Ross, but I want to be somebody who like grew up in Baltimore painting. So I say, so we have this bush here. So you can just imagine what body is buried behind this bush. And over here
that's my show, isn't it? That's my show.
I don't know. I don't turn the sound on. I just watch.
Here's can I show this really quick? Yeah. That's Bob painting me. Bob painting me.
What?
It should be Bob painting you, painting Bob.
Hey, right. That would have been perfect. The next one.
That's a great painting.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, we've also found kind of like these kind of moments are so embedded in our subconscious, we don't even understand it. Like, have you ever knocked on wood?
Oh yeah, my brother is, well, my ex-brother. He's not my brother anymore. He's my ex-brother. He's every time he says anything, he doesn't want to jinx himself on, which is quite often. Just knock on wood 3 times. It's the most annoying thing in the world. But I find myself doing
that because you want to protect your words, right? Like you said, right. As Chip was saying, like our ancient ancestors around the globe, you would knock on the tree before you entered the forest to ask tree spirits for safe passage. So we're trying to recall all these like global mythologies because we think they're based in nature. They have these archetypes of nature, and that's something that can bring us together as a planet and as human beings. You know, there's so much division. Like, let's find a way towards unity, and maybe it can be through this consciousness of the landscape.
And that's kind of embedded in our DNA, and we don't even know why we do it. Like, if you'll go to the crappiest shopping mall in America, and there's usually a water feature in the middle of the mall. And what is in the water?
Coins.
Money.
Coins. And I ask people like, why are there coins in every single fountain? And nobody knows why. I said, like, well, why do you do it? Well, to make a wish. But why do you make a wish in the water? This goes back, again, another deeply embedded in our DNA is the original oracle was the sacred spring, and you would make an offering to the sacred spring that to answer your prayers or to give to kind of like let you know what the future is. And we don't even know why we do this.
Yeah.
You know, like
But I know why we should. I know. Now this is. I could be totally wrong, and I may be just making this up. But there were people would like throw other people in and hold them under the water, saying, "No, I'm not. I'm not drowning them. This is an offering. My brother is an offering."
No.
Yeah.
I think you're mixing up an offering with a sacrifice, and while that certainly happened in ancient times or even last week, it's not the same thing.
You say oblation, I say obligation. So
you know what? That's so much that we don't understand where and why we do. You know, it's like cliches. Nobody ever thinks about why we say let the cat out of the bag. Well, what the hell was the cat doing in the bag in the first place?
Oh, I've got some books you'd love, man. I've got some books that are all about that stuff. It's one. I think it's called Loose Cannons and Red Herrings. I think one is called. They have a word for that. Yeah. I have like a collection of books downstairs just for those things.
But yeah, more than one way to beat a dead horse or something. Like who's beating dead horses? Why? Why you leave the dead horse alone? I don't get it. But on this architecture thing, where I live, there's been a big movement to make like natural landscape pools and yards and stuff. And it's gotten to the point where it's artificially natural. It's like people, you know, this area is not a tropical forest. But when people start to build all these landscapes that they're doing, and they want to have a natural feel to it, instead of having a pool, they're digging in their yard and creating ponds that would not happen in this area. And we're overdeveloped now with unnatural landscapes. It seems to be a fad. Is that just my world, or do you see that like a...
No, I think it has to do with another kind of deep-seated thing is like how, you know, we want to participate in nature in some manner. You know, I think that kind of goes into the sort of the odd thing of topiary, you know, and the manipulation of plants. It's kind of like it's kind of like having a pet, you know, like pets are one of the few ways we can actually, you know, have a communication with an animal that will not try to eat us. So I think this idea of participating and kind of like working with nature, no matter, you know, like with whatever the odd outcomes are, I think that's an important thing, you know, like that people want to do.
Yeah. No, I had a guest on who was on recently. Well, not that recently, but he was talking about reintroduce, because mankind, and I don't know how you feel about this, but we screw up everything we touch. When we come into an area and all of a sudden all the natural plants to this indigenous to this area are now gone, and we filled it with grass seed, which was not a thing, or whatever it is, the trees that we bring in, the Japanese whatever. And so his thing is to reintroduce all the natural foliage that used to be here. Now sometimes that's counterintuitive to our existence here, but he's big on that. Do you are you a proponent of that? You know, restoring the nature of the landscape?
Yeah, that's a really big thing, especially here in California. You know, the invasive species that are taking over the native species. It's just better for the ecology of a place to use plants that should be there, you know, like you were saying.
I did not realize you were in California. You got up at 6 a.m. to do this show. God bless you.
Yeah.
Holy smoke. Well, we do get people from California on, but every time, or the West Coast, and every time it happens, I'm like, you know, and generally they choose the second hour. Wow.
I grew up on Long Island, though, so I feel a connection here.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Can I ask what part?
Syosset.
Oh, Syosset. Yeah, not a lot of great natural landscapes up there. It's all buildings.
Certainly not anymore. Yeah.
Jericho Turnpike, right?
Yeah. Office buildings, office complexes, and stuff like that.
One of Chip's favorite things to say is, "Are we going to jump on the hutch?"
Jumping on the hutch. When you jump on the hutch, take the Tappan Zee and then jump on the hutch.
It's not the Tappan Zee anymore.
So, do you include anything about like the spiritual? Because if you're from Long Island, I'm sure you know this. There's lots and lots of native people, burial grounds, and stuff like that. That area where the Amityville Horror book takes place, and that's all fiction. But that lake, that canal creek, Ketchum Creek, was known as a Native American burial ground, and it's got like sacred spiritual meaning to the people who were, and for hundreds of years we paid attention to that and honored that in ways, and now people are just building stuff on it without having any thought about that. Do you include any of that stuff in the book?
Yeah, we have a deep respect for like indigenous knowledge and indigenous practices, and we don't want to like borrow that without permission, but we do try to just make people more aware of, again, that spiritual connection, that ancestral wisdom that was in the place.
And I think the thing to take away from that, this is really a wonderful kind of new movement, is to give the landscape personhood. Like Liz has always said, if the river is your mother, you wouldn't want to pollute it. So I think this is part of, for thousands of years, cultures kind of like identified different landscapes with divinities. And I think by giving it a personhood like that, we're less inclined to cut down a sacred forest or pollute a stream or flatten a mountaintop if we know that there are, I'm Irish, so the we people live in there, so you're less likely to destroy it. I mean, even in Ireland, you'll see houses that have the corners cut off because that's a fairy path. And before they cut the corner of the house off, the things would disappear, things would go wrong. Once they, reestablish that fairy path, which is perhaps a representation of these hidden currents of nature. So you'll find out throughout the world lots of kind of stories like this, of these hidden flows. They're kind of ley lines that connect the landscape through these different power points. We can look at historically where the great temples were always placed in a sacred forest. The sacred forest came first.
Wow.
So this idea of kind of like deifying the landscape, I think, is really an important thing. And you look at it, took me a while to realize this in Miyazaki's Spirited Away. The bathhouse is actually a bathhouse where the river spirits come to get cleaned. They come in there. There's a great scene where they're all these kind of really strange characters, and they're covered in mud, and they go in and they get cleansed. So I think that's a really wonderful personification of this idea of like how we can intervene and rethink the landscape. And I think that's something that the culture we have.
Couple of things. GD is usually the first one to bring up his mother on this program, but I'm going to step on him again here now, because when my mom was dying, I considered they had this thing where you could actually take her ashes and incorporate it into a tree, and the tree grows and she becomes part of the tree. But that kind of creeped me out thinking about that scene in The Wizard of Oz where the tree smacks the kid and takes the apple.
Oh yeah. You want apples? Yeah, like they start throwing out.
Yeah. It's very interesting stuff. Did you learn anything in the process of this book that writing this book that surprised you or made you?
Oh my gosh, we learned so much. Yeah. It was like a deep dive, a very intense deep dive.
I mean, I think one of the things that we've learned is, like Liz mentioned at the beginning, that there is kind of like this commonality of beliefs. Like almost every culture has a tree of knowledge. Right. Which is really powerful. I mean, I started off with, of course, like our typical biblical tree of knowledge, but then you find out that, that one of the oldest representations of a tree of knowledge is in Egypt. And, that tree of knowledge, the reason the fruit is forbidden is because it's one of the most powerful hallucinogens on the planet. And only the priests and priestesses can like share that knowledge of the cosmos. And you find that in like the sacred forest, the sacred stream. So there's a commonality there that I think if we just realize that these kind of beliefs are similar, maybe we could stop killing each other, and also like when we, in the classes we teach, we have students from all over the world, and when we're bringing up these topics, the student will say, oh, like I'm from Korea, and here's the sacred tree here. Or like I had a student from the Philippines, and she said, oh yeah, the medicine woman would sit under this special tree in the Philippines, and that's where she would disperse her knowledge and her curatives and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just, that's kind of what astounded us. It's kind of like you open one door and 10 new doors open, and it's just, like this it's kind of like Liz talked about the web, underground web. It's almost like we have this web of humanity I think it's embedded in our DNA.
Yeah.
Back when I was studying comparative religions and metaphysics, one of the things that we had to do was we had like a chart, and so like for each religion, we had the parallels, what they all had in common, because the whole idea was just to find commonality, because there was enough, so if you have like let's say I'm trying to think, the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
You have like the 10 worlds on the Kabbalah, and then we'd find out how that relates to Buddhism and how that relates to other principles and other religions. And we did the same thing with like everything, even like Bible stories. Find out where that Bible story is also in this culture and that culture, or this myth, and all the places where this myth is.
Yeah, like the Gaia principle. That's the Earth Mother, right? So
right.
In like Native American belief, it's the Earth Mother. In West Africa, it's Asasaya. In the Andes, it's Pachamama. So it's like all across the globe, you just have this belief in the Earth as like the Mother Spirit, and this, the sky being the Father Spirit. So it's really, I don't know, it warms your heart.
Yeah, I have this book, When God Was a Woman. And it talks about the religions, some of the religions that were basically older than Christianity, and how Christianity, how they were when God was a matriarch, but how through wars and stuff like that, God became like the father before God was a mother.
Yeah, you look at generally like the thing that we found is the agricultural cultures. Their gods, their divinities are usually feminine. The warlike tribes, their gods were masculine. So you have the kind of like the nomad,
masculinity.
Yeah, well, in a way, but I think it's really interesting that the societies that depended on agriculture and worked with the land, their major divinities were feminine, and there was a balance. Of course, there was a patriarch, but there was more of a balance. But the warlike tribes, their gods were definitely masculine and warlike, and I think you have that interesting duality between the two.
And because they couldn't grow their own, they had to go steal others. Because they wouldn't grow their own.
Audience right now, because they may not have picked up on this. You have to have the visual to actually see this. But Chip just exposed himself as one of these optimists. He's an optimist, and you know how you have to see it, because he said, you heard the words, but you had to see the expression on his face, and when he said maybe we could stop killing ourselves. Now, that's very optimistic, and I would love to have optimism, as I say almost every day on this program, but I'm a pessimist. We're not going to, because here's the deal. We are looking at the Earth like it's a disposable lighter or something. We could just throw it away. We're looking for another planet. Like, let's forget about this. None of this stuff you're talking about means anything. We could just throw the Earth away and find another one someplace. And then we have maybe, I don't know, a few million years before we screw that one up and have to start looking for a new one and just leave it behind. So while I applaud your optimism, I find it hard to gravitate to or incorporate it into my life. Did the book?
Oh, Matt, every time you're out landscape painting, you're feeling it every time you're out painting. So
I'm not healing. I'm hoping for healing, but I'm not really doing anything to myself. I feel uplifted, but I'm not fixing the planet. Am I? Do you think I am?
When you paint a landscape, you're worshiping, you're creating, that's an act of devotion. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when we, all these paintings of the Madonna, you know, really weren't about the Madonna. They were about like this idea of connecting with this idea of the Madonna, you know, like that's why it's kind of like a dedication or like an offering. So when you're painting the landscape, you're like in a different plane of consciousness, and you're creating a positive, you know, positive energy, you know, and I think that's, you know, little by little, you know, perhaps we can reverse that. And
I'm not sure that you're allowed to talk about the Madonna without ending your sentence in Vogue. I think that's like, I think you have to do that.
yeah, that's our contemporary Madonna.
I almost called him VD, GD. You bring up Madonna, and I changed GD to VD. He speaks like a virgin often, so but in this, I think people are lacking the ability to feel awe. When I first, where I live now, my wife lived here before I met her, and when I first came here, she said, "Well, you know, we didn't go out on a date. We went for a walk down to the beach, our beach, which is right below the house here, and I saw it for the first time, and I was awestruck." And I said, "This is heaven. This is paradise." I could not believe the majesty of the beach and the forest area, the trees above the beach, on the cliffs, and all that stuff. And it was just breathtaking. I find that we lose the capacity to experience that moment of awe, like, oh my God, just to take in this place. And people, for me to do that, she was surprised to see that. She said, I've seen hundreds of people come to this beach and never saw that reaction before. And I think because people are embarrassed to show it or reluctant to even experience it, we like push it away. We don't want to take in this beautiful planet that we live on.
I think for sometimes, because I know, like, when I see awesome sights of nature, I feel not necessarily a smallness, but more like a connectedness. I mean, because if I didn't feel the smallness, I wouldn't have been a comedian, right? So, but I feel the connectedness, and I think that some people, when they see it, I guess it's they just don't. You have to when you accept something like that, you have to admit something. You know, something is either greater than yourself, or something is, you know, just
nothing's greater than me.
Oh, see, yeah,
I'm kidding. Everything's greater than me. It's just an interesting takeaway. Now, did writing the book make you more optimistic or less optimistic for mankind's treatment of this wonderful planet that we've been given?
Yeah, I think both, because it made us aware of the really serious environmental problems that we're facing. But then, we started out by saying our mission is enchantment. So we kind of feel hope that people can reconnect again with nature. Even the smallest thing you do, even like recycling is going to help. So.
Yeah, I mean, as an optimist, we really believe in this idea of re-enchanting the landscape. And the biggest kind of epiphany in doing the book is we just realized we scratched the surface, with these like 78 principles. That's just scratching the surface. That there are thousands and thousands, and I think the other thing too is the takeaway is to realize, we were looking at contemporary examples of these sort of mythological elements. And we were looking into the Hunger Games, because I never watched the Hunger Games or read the books, but I watched the first one because I knew there was a forest. And we look at the heroine at the beginning of the scene. She goes into the forest with a bow and arrow, and she's about ready to shoot a deer, and she doesn't. And I went, holy shit. The screenwriters didn't even realize that this is a mythological goddess. This was Artemis, and perhaps one of the reasons this film was so popular with young girls and women is that here is the representation of when God was a woman, it gave them, a power empowerment. But the screenwriters didn't even know it. I bet, I bet they didn't know.
The person who wrote, sometimes there are people who, know things, but they don't want other people to know that they know or practice it. So they just like slip it in,
You embed
yeah. They just slip it in. It's like, and so everybody's be going like, oh, that's a really neat scene. And
It's
I
kind
wonder
of like
why
my
she did
wife
that.
slipping in spinach into my breakfast for the last 2 weeks. I hate that. Yeah, that's interesting because there is this kind of vegetarians and animal treatment and all this stuff. I could never, and I probably would die very young if I were forced to rely on my own resources here. I could never kill an animal. I mean, it's a deer is something that just is like not hurting me, not threatening me in any way.
Mhm.
I could never just kill it in cold blood. And I know there is this celebrate the spirit of the animal if you're going to eat it and all that kind of stuff. But it's weird for me. I could never just. Even though I am a bit of a sadist at some level, I just can't do that. I mean, I'd take something, an animal's life. So I would perish. I would be.
Well, you think about it too. There's, every now and then we take our students out in the woods to draw, and a couple deer will cross the path, and that's a really magic moment. I think there's something about that when especially a deer crosses the path, and you see it, it's really magical. And
You know
I
what?
think
You just reminded me. There is one deer I would kill. I was
Deer Abby.
No, the deer I'm talking about. I was sitting out in the backyard.
Oh yes, yeah.
We have deer in my yard. They come to the front door. My wife, they hear her voice and they come and ask her to throw apples up in the air. They do this, and that means throw apples up in the air. But there was one. I was out in the backyard. I was smoking a joint. It was the middle of the summer, and this deer came up and he took it. I would kill him.
No, see, I thought the deer that knocked you into the hot tub was the one you were going to kill.
Yeah.
Wasn't that you who got attacked by the deer and knocked into a hot tub?
Yeah. Yes.
You've got that animal spirit. Yeah, you need to make peace with that animal. You need to make an offering or something to that animal
we
spirit.
have so many. My wife is like Sleeping Beauty, or what is it? What's the other one?
Cinderella.
Snow White.
Snow White, Cinderella.
The animals just come to her. I mean, birds will land in her hand and eat out of her
wow.
hand. We have wild turkeys, wild chickens, possums, raccoons, deers, everything you could think of. Just come, and they live on our front step now. If I open my front door, there will be 5 chickens, free-range chickens, just waiting, looking in the door like, where is she? Crazy.
Hey, wait, that's where you guys started this conversation with
chicken.
chickens and roosters, right?
The chicken walks into a bar.
She should have ducked. The bar was only this high.
You know what? A lot of times the guests hear us talking before we bring them in, and they run away. Like, we can't. Well, this show is not for us. So good for you. What part of California are you in? Northern, southern? Where
in Berkeley.
Yeah, the People's Republic of Berkeley. I teach at Cal, and Liz teaches at Davis. I teach in the College of Environmental Design.
Well, the reason I asked is because earlier you said the word enchantment, and immediately my mind went to New Mexico, the land of enchantment, and all the beautiful places. The reason it's called that, there are some awe-inspiring places, but I know California, as big as it is, has so many places that you take in for the first time, and it is how could anybody deny the existence of a beautiful creator when you see something this magical? I mean,
the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, the Hollywood sign, definitely. That was created. That's not just, it just didn't happen. It was not a manifestation of boom, big bang, and it's a Hollywood sign. A creator had to create that.
It used to be a Hollywood sign.
I mean, the sequoias and all those. So the parts in California that are just magical. Are you near any of those? And
yeah, where do we even begin? I mean, Muir Woods is right across in Marin, which is, I mean, if you go in there, I mean, there's another interesting thing in storytelling. I learned this from Hitchcock. Truth is always revealed in the forest. Like in Vertigo, the truth is revealed in the forest. And North by Northwest, truth is revealed in the forest. So there's this, when you go into the forest, there's something purifying about it, or it happens. So like in Shakespeare, and I probably, if we could track it back to the original myths, truth has always been revealed in the forest, which I think is
wow. It's like a Godfather moment to me with the oranges. I don't know if you're aware of the oranges in the Godfather.
But see, and I'm thinking Forrest Gump. That's immediately because all the truths that are exposed to Forrest Gump.
The centerpiece of Forrest Gump is the oak tree. Like he grows up in the oak tree. He meets he flirts with the girlfriend, and
Jenny,
they get married, and then she's buried under that tree.
Interesting, because that went right over my bald head. But I takeaway I had was the leave on a breeze, and then in the stream. That's a metaphor for his life. But now I have to look at it through oak tree eyes. I guess I should tie a yellow
just last weekend you were talking about the beauty of California. Just last weekend we were down in the Central Coast by San Luis Obispo, and they have something called the Los Osos Oak Preserve. Those trees are 800 and 900 years old, and you walk in that grove and you just feel like the legacy of these trees. It's so powerful.
Yeah. But a big part of this, coming back to trying to kill your optimism, drag you over to the dark side of pessimism. America just seems, I don't travel the world much anymore. There were times 30 years ago where I saw the entire planet, but it feels like America is still pushing towards this. Let's make a parking lot. Let's create a new building. Which we are tearing down. I don't know where you stand politically and all this stuff, but we are about to wipe out like 250,000 acres of forest land and all this stuff. I don't feel like humans still get it, and I'm wondering if you wrote the book with the hope of actually changing that, and do you feel like serious hope, or just best of luck there, kind of? We put it out there.
We teach students, right? So we really feel that the younger generation, the students we teach, are they really want change. They really are sensitive to this. And a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. I do this one exercise where I have my students cut out a piece of paper, like in the Shinto religion in Japan. You've seen those zigzag white pieces of paper that they attach to trees. So I had them, I gave them paper, they cut it out. We went in to find a tree that meant something to them that they could hang their prayer flag on. And when we finished, two of my students they had their prayer flags. I said, why didn't you put it on a tree? And they go, well, this is bleached paper. They wouldn't do it because the paper wasn't organic.
Wow.
I didn't even know that. Wow. I went and got like heavier paper, to make it last. So I think we found, like in the students we teach, they're the next generation, and they really want to do things, and they're kind of like making us aware of things that we're doing wrong. So I think this new generation coming up, that's why I have my optimism, because they're sponges wanting to learn. How can we do, what can we do?
Now, my concern is that younger people, because most of the damage done to this planet is done in the name of wealth. As of right now, and even though it takes more than, let's say, a handful of billionaires to destroy the planet, their messaging kind of like brainwashes, and usually people willingly get brainwashed, but they don't see how much we need the planet as much as the millionaires and billionaires see how much they can exploit the planet. And so if young people are coming up and they want to save the planet, they're going to have to get rid of the billionaires. Okay. And there's only
Why
a
don't we just
handful of
put
ways
them all in a rocket ship and send them off looking for another planet?
My concern is like the breeding of a bunch of Luigis who I'm just saying because there's only going, because we're not going to fix the planet until we fix the people who are grabbing all the resources, which is a handful of billionaires and millionaires, or a handful of billionaires.
It's time.
And the only way they're going to be gone is if they die off and they leave their money to people who care, or if they're like removed from the scene, a la Luigi style. And so,
the opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests or hosts and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Mind Dog TV, Matt Media, or its affiliates. Just want to remind people of that. After you are gone in a moment, I will show the cover of the book. I don't want to cover your face. The book is called The Wisdom Place, right? The Wisdom Place?
Wisdom of Place.
Wisdom of Place. All right. And it's available now. How long has the book been out?
It came out at the very end of 2023. It won an Indie Gold Medal, Indie Book Award in 2024. So it's been a good year. The cards just came out in January, so the deck of tarot cards are brand new.
Did you say hot off the press?
I like it. Is there an audiobook? Because I didn't see one on the Amazon link. Because
No.
people are lazy.
Yeah.
and even though this is the kind of book where you would think it would attract less lazy people than like a romance novel. It's still there. People are just very, very lazy. They need it.
Maybe that's it. Romancing the Wisdom of Place.
I hate romance.
We have Fabio on the cover.
Wow, I forgot about Fabio. Wow, we were Madonna. We had a little bit of Whitney Houston that nobody ever realized. I believe the children are our future, the greatest love of all. And now we're up to Fabio. We're reliving the '80s here, folks.
I don't even think Fabio remembers Fabio.
Yeah, I have an interesting Fabio story. I'll tell you in a moment. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to have you here. I'm going to get the book. We always tell people we have lots of authors on this program, and our mantra now is you got to buy the book. You got to buy the book. You do have to buy the book if you care at all about this planet. If you care at all about learning about how to reconnect to that awe, that majesty of really understanding and appreciating this great gift, get the book, Wisdom of Place. But it's by now Chip Sullivan and Elizabeth Bolts, or as they like to call themselves, Elizabeth Bolts and Chip Sullivan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm not all here. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for getting up early. I appreciate. I wish I would have known you were. I would have baked the cake and then ate it.
So Elizabeth, what is your nickname? Because there's like Beth, Liz, Bits, stuff like that.
Liz. Everyone calls me Liz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. I was hoping it was Bits because I could just see Bits and Chips, and I just.
Hey, I like that. Yeah.
Chips and Bits.
I'm the nut and she's the bolts, but
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got to get this top billing thing worked out between you. We'll let you fight off screen for that, but we do appreciate you being here. Have a great day, and thanks for being part of the
Thank
program.
you so much. We really love being here.
Oh,
Bye.
well, there you go. Thanks for being. Bye for now. Chip Sullivan and Elizabeth Bolt.
They're going to come back and bring some of their tarot cards to sell.
Yeah. Ron is here. Ron is off his phone sex call.
Yep.
We heard you with your bookie there. Who were you betting on? You were betting on the Jets, and it's not even football season.
No, nothing that exciting. Just some boring comedy business. That's all it was.
Wow.
That's the safest time to bet on the Jets is when there are no games.
It would have been good if it took as long as it did. And you probably got you booked like 300 gigs in that hour, right?
No, this is I was having a call with a friend of mine, and he's got a career change hopefully happening, and so we were talking about that and some future things.
He's gone from proctologist to gynecologist, and he's just wondering. It doesn't look.
No, I don't want to put all of his business out there, but Josh is he's moving to LA.
Finally, because that was his goal. He just stopped. Like the car ran out of gas, and he just we're out of gas. We'll live here for a while.
So that story is a little more interesting than that.
GD will get to Ron. This is a reference that probably you won't get because you have to be old. You have to be very old. But Good Time Josh has got the blues. Everybody's gone away. You know, they're leaving to moving to L.A. Who was that?
Practice Guy.
Good Time Charlie's got the blues. Everybody's moving to L.A. Yeah. Some caught a freight, some caught a train.
Yeah.
Find the sunshine, leave the rain. Ain't a soul I know around. Everybody's leaving town. Good Time Charlie's got the blues.
Yeah. So he will be he's leaving Denver, I think, April, like March 30th or March 31st, I think.
Good time of year to be on the move. That's what I say. Spring is a time for change. It's a time for new beginnings. Good for him. Well, I'm sure he'll do well. He's got plenty of time left. Unlike me and GD, who have no time left. We're ready to die. Well, I'm ready.
Well, I hope he does well as well.
No, aren't you? Like, I thought you were his manager. You were his.
I am.
You are.
I am.
Oh, look at you. I am. 2K Production Enterprises CEO Ron speaking. No.
Yeah. Then I usually tell Matt. Then I usually tell him, let's talk about Flint, Michigan.
Wow. Are there a lot of gigs in Flint, Michigan? Is a big comedy scene there?
You would think with all the suffering, not yet, but there's a lot of suffering kids that are going to grow up to be great comics.
Yeah.
I think Detroit has a decent comedy scene.
I'll have the scotch and water, but hold the water.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything in water, hold the water. Hold your water. Anyway,
just a reminder, because we're mentioning LA, that John Mulaney live talk show is on tonight on Netflix at 10 o'clock.
Probably, what time is it? Because it's probably conflicting with
10.
my show.
It starts at 10.
I have a woman on tonight. I believe she Rhonda. What is Rhonda's last name? Rhonda Britton. Rhonda Britton. She's been a guest with Oprah for, I think, maybe I'm overstating this, but I thought she'd been on Oprah 100 times. How about that? I got an Oprah guest.
That's more times than Stedman's been on Oprah.
Well, you don't know that for a fact. Maybe he got a little help. little blue chews, whatever they call them.
I mean, okay, that's more times than Gail's been on Oprah.
All right. Yeah,
which we don't know if that's true either.
I don't know anything to be true at this point. We just had that was a wonderful conversation about the Earth and how it's magic, like a tarot card deck. It's a magical tarot card deck of a planet we have here. I am the death card, as everybody knows. But
that doesn't mean what you think it means. I don't know what you think it means, but death doesn't mean death. It's not death. It's more like transition.
Have you told that to Death? Remember Death?
Yeah.
And Death is on the same page as I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't really mean death. Everybody.
I mean, on the tarot card. I mean, out there, when death comes knocking on your door, he ain't no fucking tarot card.
Oh.
He's a Jehovah's Witness. No. Have you heard the good word?
He's a Luigi. He's a Luigi. Shows up at your door. Anyway, Jason Stewart's supposed to be our next guest, but he's a little late.
Well, he's got 2 minutes, right?
I can't.
He's also in California.
I thought it says 1:15, 10:15. What an hour and 15 minutes into this thing. So maybe
it's 1:13, an hour 13 in. Well, now it'll be an hour and 14.
I'm unclear as how Jason got on my calendar. Did you have something to do with this?
He put himself on the calendar. I invited him to the show, though.
Oh, because you got to know him through Leanna Linsky. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Now, I'm not. He does stand up. I don't know. Are there other actors that we know about, people who are character actors, who are prominent? I think it's 10,000 stand-up shows.
Well, we had Brian T. Shirley on, and he's a stand-up comedian and a character actor as well.
Character actor. Yeah.
But to be honest, he's starting to be pigeonholed as like the detective. It's like he's starting to get, because he's done quite a few roles as a detective, and like now almost every time he gets hired, he winds up being the detective. They can say, they can audition him. He'll go and say like, I want to be the criminal. Okay, I want to be the serial killer. This is all right. He'll audition. They'll go like, we're going to make you a cop. He said,
Hey, just Stedman was on Oprah's show 3 times.
3 times.
Oh, I meant on Oprah, not her show.
He meant on. I know what he meant. He meant with a condom in hand.
Yeah.
And
he has 3 credits of being on that show.
And he was also Attorney General under Obama, right, for several years.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at his IMDb, so
you're thinking Eric Holder.
Yeah, the same. Oh, they're not the same guy.
I realize that
they look. Don't they all look alike, Matt? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm trying to say, in a very racist and overt way. What's going on with the phone and the voicemail stuff? Get out of my head! Get off my train! So
Vagina.
Maybe Jason's not going to show up because he heard the homophobic things I said yesterday, or anytime.
Are you kidding? I told him what we said.
Oh.
Or when one of the white guys says, "Don't they all look alike?"
Yeah.
That wouldn't alarm people at all.
This is not the kind of guy I want to talk to. He seems like whatever. But so that whoever we were just talking about, who was also a character actor and stand-up, have they done 10,000 stand-up shows, GD? No. 10,000 is a lot. 10,000 is a fucking career, man. That's what's listed on Jason's page, comic demo. 10,000 stand-up shows. Now, does that include all the open mics? Probably, right?
Well, he's also been doing comedy for a very long time.
He doesn't look old enough to do 10,000 shows. That's got to be. I'm gonna, if he does show up. You
have to ask him about it, because that's something I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know his IMDb credits are like
300.
Way too late.
162. No, 306 IMDb credits. 162 acting roles.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. But one of the things that he absolutely would not do would be appear on this program. He's contractually opted out because he saw the first hour or he saw the first minute.
Well, I just sent him a text and asked him if he's running late.
He said, I was just about to make out with a guy again. There's a camera here. I have to do it. Every time there's a camera, I have to make out with a guy.
There's have
you ever made out with him?
Me? No.
I don't believe you.
That's okay, because we've never met in the flesh either. So
guess how many times Gayle King was on the Oprah Winfrey Show?
18.
I'm gonna say 5.
Matt was the closest. It was 23.
All right. I'm gonna have. You know what? I'm
certain
now that
2 plus 3, 23 is made of 2 plus 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5. I'm sorry, I nailed it.
All right. This is not The Price is Right anyway, but I'm not positive.
It's not a contest, but I win.
All right. I want to make sure how many times. Maybe I was just insanely high when I read Rhonda's bio. She couldn't have been on Oprah 100 times if Gail has only been on 23, right? I'm just imagining.
Yeah, wait, what is her name?
Rhonda Britton.
Rhonda Britton. Okay.
Ron's got an app to check out how many guest appearances somebody has on Oprah. There's an app for that.
All right. Rhonda Britton. It's a dude?
Rhonda Britton, Brittten.
En.
Emmy Award winner, repeat Oprah guest, and master coach, but it doesn't say how many times. Changed lives in over 600 episodes of reality television. That's probably where I got all confused and stuff. Just a repeat guest on Oprah. That big number, 600 episodes of reality television. Wow.
Yeah, when you look for Rhonda Britton, on IMDb, it just says an actress.
Wow.
And they don't have any pictures. So it's
Well, that's a damn shame.
but there's nothing listed for Oprah.
All right. I was kind of hoping Jason would be here because I wanted to run Ron's theory of everybody's bi on a gay guy. Because there are lots we know for a fact that there are lots of straight guys who would be in heavily denial and take offense to Ron saying everybody's bi. I'm just wondering if a gay guy would feel the same way. Like if I said to him, could you picture yourself making out with a woman? Does that turn your stomach like most heterosexual guys would say about if I said, can you picture yourself making out with a guy? I want to run that theory behind him and get him to yell at Ron about Flint, Michigan, or the gayness of Flint, Michigan. The water in gay Michigan is turning people Flint.
The water is making everyone gay.
No, the gay water is making everybody Flint.
I only drink straight water around here.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I never drink water. So he's not going to show up, and it's GD's fault.
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking he thought it was Pacific time, right? He'll show up in 3 hours.
No, because I hope that's not the case, because that would be like really inconsistent. Because we've had a few chats before, and before we gotten the time right.
Huh. So, does he even know about it? Because it wasn't him that booked it. It was like some production company or something that booked him on this program. So
I know he knows it because I talked to him a couple of days ago, and I said, "Well,
you're in constant contact with the big character actor."
What? Yeah, I talked to him on Monday.
You know what? Andy Corzin, who is Doris Klumpus from Seinfeld, she said, I'm going to try to make this an exact quote. It's as close as I can remember. She said, "I'm a character actor, and technically that means I'm ugly." Her belief is that if you have the label character actor, it means that Hollywood and the producers and all of us have branded you as just too ugly to be an actor. You have to be
maybe, but those character actors are great. They hold so many movies together.
Some of those people, who you know them, you know their face, you know their voice, they're familiar. They show up on all these shows. They're great people, recognizable people. But they don't get all the acclaim. But you're right. Those are the people that make films and television.
I also don't think that all of them are ugly. Sometimes they say character actors because it's your weight. You can have like a really beautiful face and you have like a rotund body, and so you'll never be a leading man or leading woman because you're too round.
A few years ago, there was a documentary that came out about this exact subject, character actors, and they interviewed all these different character actors, and it was very fascinating to see
was this the one that was called? I think it was called like I Know You were in that movie or something like that.
It may have been, and it had some very well-known character actors, like people you would see. It's like they were just talking like, I was in this movie with this actor, and I was in this movie with this, and they had like very pivotal roles. It was really fascinating just to see like these people not really like craving stardom. They're like, nah, I'm just a working actor. This is cool.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Like I make a living doing this.
1997, I was in LAX, ready to take a red eye back to New York, sitting in waiting to board the plane, and there was a lady next to me. I can't remember her name now, but she was talking to her daughter, having this conversation. You could tell it was like an emotional conversation. She was getting on the flight with me. She was coming to New York, and I didn't want to interrupt. As soon as her daughter left, I said, "Excuse me, I can't. I'm sorry to intrude here, but I can't help. But I know you. I've seen you on television. She was on almost every episode of Law and Order or something. And everybody would remember her face, but nobody remembers her name. And I was like really awkward to me to say, I know you're somebody famous, but I don't know your name. That's a weird way to kind of, be a fan or, give them the kind of, I appreciate your work. I know I've seen you, but who the fuck are you? It's a weird kind of, you're recognizable, and there's a lot of those people who just, they probably have better financial careers than a lot of the people who just take that one role at a time and take a leading role and don't work but once every 5 years or so, or once every 3 years. They're working constantly on television and stuff. That's got to add up to some ka-ching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about Fabio before. We were talking about Fabio before.
Yeah, you missed it, Ron. We talked about Fabio and Madonna and someone else.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
the children are our future. Back in around 2000, the Rockin' 45s were playing the Nautical Mile in a club that was open to the street, so people would walk by on the sidewalk, and we were playing like right next to the sidewalk, but facing this way. And this guy came by and with the long blonde hair, muscles, the whole bit, and I said, he was walking past. I go, ladies and gentlemen, Fabio, and everybody looked over and like were trying to harass the guy for Fabio. And then he did a U-turn and went back to the entrance, and I was like, uh-oh, he's coming for you. And he came in the club and he starts walking. He's like making a beeline for me, trying to get to the dance floor, like he's gonna kick my ass. Mikey's like, you're in for it now. You're gonna have to fight muscles from the beach over here.
You had to kiss him. You had to kiss Fabio.
Yeah. But it turned out he changed his mind before he got to me. I was pretty buff back then, so but I was definitely coming to kick my ass. But here's the other thing: we started playing the song "Spooky" from Atlanta Rhythm Section, and Mikey is the guy who just the brain is not connected to the mouth or whatever, or in his actions. And there was a black guy walking on the sidewalk, and Mikey goes, "Hey, Spooky!" He didn't come back to kick Mikey's ass. I would have. Anyway. So, yeah. You guys want to make out? I don't know. Jason's not here. I was kind of hoping to watch you guys make out. No.
Oh, I sent him a text and I didn't get anything back.
Because he's still sleeping. Wouldn't you be if you were in California? No, you wouldn't. You get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, right?
Have you seen the movie Kentucky Fried Movie?
Yeah. It's been a long time since
I haven't seen the movie. I know it exists.
It's a comedy anthology movie, and there is one sketch where his name is Rex Kramer, and he's a daredevil. So it's this guy. He's wearing a silver suit, puts on like a silver helmet or like an American helmet, like Evel Knievel, and he's in this alley, and he's like, "I'm Rex Kramer, danger." And they started, and he walks over to this group of black guys that they're all playing dice. It's probably like 8 black guys. He just walks in the middle of the game and yells out, you can imagine what he yells out, with a hard R, then just starts running away.
Wow.
And all the black guys look at each other, and then they say it. They're like, what? Then they start chasing him, and that's how the sketch ends.
I didn't realize Jimmy Moore wrote Kentucky Fried Movie. That's a reference.
Wait a minute, he said boxcars? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Was that what he yelled with the hard R?
Yeah.
Well, I have heard Ron say this phrase with a hard R many times. Obviously, he's never. Well, he has been to Long Island, but we don't know. We don't say Long Island Railroad with a hard R. Railroad. There's no hard R's on Long Island. It's bar. It's car. There's no hard R.
Baba Wireless. Baba Walla.
Yeah, we don't want hard R. What do you mean hard R? What are you talking about? So yeah, so I think it's all fair game. You could say whatever you want because there are no hard R's on Long Island. So we left them all past Brooklyn, north of Brooklyn, south of Brooklyn.
So do we have showbiz news?
Yeah. Oh no, we don't have showbiz news. We have regular news that we didn't play because I don't want to hear it anymore. What about this idea? Now, am I stupid? Yes. But if Elon Musk and his band of merry big balls hackers,
ACDC.
yeah,
I've got big balls.
If they found all this fraud and corruption, why has not one person been charged with the crime?
That's what I asked weeks ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Why don't I ever listen to you when you talk?
I asked that, and the Reverend also asked it. They both asked it.
It's
like fraud is a crime. Why are there no arrests? My guess, there's two questions. There's two answers. One is that they didn't find the fraud that they're claiming they found, or they found the fraud that they found belongs to friends of theirs, and so they don't want to prosecute. Because think about what Rick Scott down in Florida. He scammed Medicare for like millions of dollars with his company, and he winds up being a senator.
Right.
So maybe either the fraud is friends, or they didn't find the fraud that they're talking about.
Now, last week, I think it was Thursday or something, Musk was in the Oval Office and talking to a bunch of people about what he's doing, and he says we'll make some mistakes, but we'll fix them pretty quickly, like when we got rid of the Ebola thing, and then he started chuckling like it was a funny mistake.
Oh yeah, the cabinet meeting, the cabinet meeting. Yeah,
we realized pretty quickly that we don't want people getting Ebola, so we hired them all back. But the thing is, he hired them all back after getting rid of all their computers and desks and everything, and they came back to an office where all their work had been destroyed. And he thinks, when we make mistakes, like that's not it's not like, I forgot to put your fork on the right side of the plate type of mistake. That's oh my God, I just wiped out half of the American population because I gave them all Ebola.
And also, they're not, he made it sound like, I made a mistake, let me fix that. It's more like, I made a mistake, and everybody else goes, hey, what the fuck are you doing? No, it's right. It's more like, it's not like he made a mistake. It's like, I did this. Everybody realized it was a mistake, and so we had to fix it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like he's fixing it. It's like
he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and other people are finding his mistakes. But the idea that he would chuckle about that, people realize, we're going to get a lot of weird diseases now because of a mistake, and that's a funny little. It's not a happy accident, as Bob Ross would call it.
One of the things that's disturbing me about Robert Kennedy Jr. is the fact that he's still like flying in the face of facts, and he's coming up with these wives' tales and anecdotes that I've never heard of, and I thought I knew all of the little wives' tales because my mother, and also I have a wife, so I thought I knew all the wives' tales. But they're saying vitamin A and castor oil will take care of the measles.
How about slugs? Have we tried slugs? I think slugs are right.
Anytime I hear the word Ebola, all I can think of is like the Ricola commercial, and someone will go
Ebola.
Yeah, it would be nice to get it that way. I don't.
It's funny. Every time I think of Coca-Cola, I think of the gods must be crazy.
I don't know what to do. I'm just twiddling my thumbs here, waiting for a guy to come over and kiss you guys on the lips.
Yeah, that's a movie you don't hear anyone talking about. The gods must be crazy.
I think they made like 4 of them.
Yeah, they did. I think they made a couple sequels.
I'm surprised that you remember Kentucky Fried Movie so clearly, because I saw it, but I think I saw it when it first came out, and in the movie theaters, obviously. But I wouldn't remember any of it without you kind of refreshing my memory on that.
That's the only part Ron can remember. He was stoned for the first part of the movie. He just started to sober up.
I seen that movie when I was young, and I've seen it so many times. There's so much funny in that movie.
There was another at the time they were that movie was made, there were a lot of I think the what was it? The Groove Tube was out then.
The Groove Tube was like 70s. That was like mid to late 70s. Then they had like Kentucky Fried Movie. There's another anthology movie out there that's tough to get, but it's fun. It's called Tunnel Vision.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I didn't see it, but I remember it.
Yeah, I think I actually
saw it when it came out.
And that has a lot of funny shit in it too. The Groove Tube was very hit or miss, but Kentucky Fried Movie was much better, and Tunnel Vision was kind of like Kentucky Fried Movie, except a little weirder, I think.
Wow. I think we have
Vision. Was Tunnel Vision the one where they had the hand and the eye was in the middle of the hand?
Yeah.
That's what I remember because
we have a bedside video from Stephen with his father at this moment. I think here it is. Ouch. I don't think that was Stephen's father. I think.
Wait, play that one again.
The people in the newsroom just. That's not Stephen's father. Oof. I hope
it's Ron was like, I got to time this just right. Is that watch it? Okay.
I hope that's not Stephen's father because that was my beer. I wonder now if we had Jason here, I would be asking, does that appeal to you? Would you like that? Would you like a beer? Can I get you a Corona long neck?
For all the deviants in the audience, if you're looking for a show on Netflix that has lots of sex and very attractive women, please check out this Spanish series called Fake Profile.
Wow. Well, it's a Spanish series, but the title's in English. Why don't it be like Faco Profilo?
Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. It is so ridiculous, but the nudity and the women are spectacular.
Oh.
But also to let you know, if you're into man-on-man action, there is some man-on-man action that happened too.
You said this is on Disney?
Yeah, no, on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I know we've established the fact that I am a world-class
old man
homophobe, but I have trouble watching man-on-man action. I can't. It's not because I'm afraid I'm not a homophobe thinking, oh, they're gonna get me. The homos are gonna get me. That's not the kind. And it's not like a real phobia, but it definitely makes me uncomfortable to see men making out. I don't know.
It doesn't really make me uncomfortable. It's just I see it. I'm like, well, I'm just not really
I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm just not interested. And I can't imagine myself when I watch movies. I usually it's like I can imagine myself in that situation. And so, and even like a lesbian scene, I can imagine myself being in that situation. But guy on guy, I'm like, I can't imagine that.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know what? I think the part where we get these people who are really not homophobic, homo haters, and you have to come up with a word for that makes sense, because homophobia is fear. You got to come up with a homo hater, whichever. What's the Latin?
I think it's called GOP. I think that's
what I'm saying. The problem with those people is they can see themselves in that situation, and that's why that's why it turns into hate. Like, damn it, you made it move, you bastard. Don't make my cock move.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, like when, like in the 90s, when like Don't Ask, Don't Tell was around and all that shit. I remember there was a comic, I think it was a gay comic that had a bit and said, you want to get rid. It's like, these aren't the gays that you're thinking of. The gays that are
your grandfather's gay guy.
Yeah, there is like the gays that are in the military are usually kind of like the tough gay men. They're not really effeminate. And it's like,
just like in football.
Yeah. It's like, you really want to stop that? That's the type of gay guy you want fighting.
Yeah. One of the things that came up recently that confused me, it doesn't take a lot to confuse me. I'm like a dog with a ball. You can make believe when you threw it, and I'll go, oh, and then it's still in your hand, and I'm still barking down the block somewhere. Somebody said they want to get trans people out of because they're too powerful for women in sports. They want to get trans men, biological men, trans women who are biological men out of women's sports because they're too strong for the women. But we have women in the military, and we're getting trans people out of the military because they're too weak. Like, none of that, the logic of none of that, it's just like, wait a minute, are they too strong or are they too weak? What's the problem?
They don't have logic. Like Trump wants to take over Canada, but one of the things he wants to do is he wants to bring car industries, car factories from Canada into the United States. Okay, for jobs. He wants to close those factories and have American cars made in the U.S. Okay, that's a nice sentiment. But if he takes over Canada, then those cars are being made in the U.S. So they're not bringing jobs back to the mainland. They're going to stay in the 51st state, right? So it's the stupid circular logic that they don't think to the conclusion. They just think out the soundbite and not the result.
I don't know why I said that. It's just like,
are you going to go buy a Tesla today? Is that what you're saying?
Here, they had this thing, like, first of all, seeing Trump and other like millionaires, billionaires, whatever, buy a Tesla is not going to convince Joe Trailer Park to sell everything he owns to go buy a Tesla. The reason Teslas are not selling is because nobody's got the fucking money for them. I mean,
and also most of the people that bought Teslas, electric cars, are lean left.
Yeah.
Most people who buy electric cars lean left. The people who lean right don't buy electric cars, they buy the gas guzzlers. As a matter of fact, if their gas guzzler doesn't guzzle enough, they'll modify it so it guzzles more. Right. So, and when you put Trump and Elon Musk with their messaging out there, who the fuck wants to buy a Tesla? It should have started, Tesla stock should have started dropping way before this because of his lawsuits of racial prejudice on his job. What's it called? Hostile work environment cases. He has quite a few of those,
really?
Which is why those people are gone from the government. People who are investigating that.
Whoa.
They're some of the first to go. The FAA guy.
I didn't know he had that a backload of cases on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, backload of cases for hostile work environments. He had backload of cases dealing with death from his cars, and he had
the spontaneous fire thing.
And
well, like GD was just mentioning, like the whole circular idiocracy of it is because that moron Trump has been shitting on those cars for several years.
That's
now.
what I was going to bring up. He's talking like it's a good product, but there are reels and reels of him talking about like they don't work at night. The battery run, he's just shitting on electric vehicles for the last 8 or 9 years, and all of a sudden, when Musk gave him money, all of a sudden they're great. And he did the same thing with Bitcoin too.
He did the same thing with TikTok.
Somebody convinced him that he personally could benefit off of TikTok, off of Bitcoin, and what he did was he came up with that dump coin. What was it, Melania coin or whatever?
Well, they had two. He had his meme coin, and she had her meme coin.
Yeah, but he did like a stock. It's not like a stock dump, but basically it inflated. Everybody bought the Melania. He cashed out, and then that was it. And he's attracted to schemes like that, get rich quick schemes, and things that will make him money really fast. So he did a 180. Now they're going to have this Federal Reserve of crypto.
Crypto reserve.
That sounds biblical, like the mark of the beast to me.
It sounds like a scam. That's what
it
is.
is. Yeah, it's just another way to launder money.
Well, this is the people said to me, explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, why Musk and Trump would want to crash the economy. And I'm like, is that true? First of all, we don't know that are they doing it because they really want to, or they're doing it because they're incompetent. I lean towards the incompetence, but the people who think that they want to go further with this conspiracy idea that they want to crash the U.S. dollar so that we become dependent on the whole world becomes dependent on crypto.
I think it's both. I think they have the desire to crash the economy so they can rebuild it in their own image, but they're incompetent in the way they're doing it. I think it's both. You can be incompetent and evil.
Well, you're a resident biblical scholar here, to whatever extent we have a resident biblical scholar. The old, and listen, the Book of Revelation is just crazy, right? It's just fucking a guy on an acid trip writing shit down. But that whole mark of the beast stuff, I've been hearing that my whole life. So someday the government's going to make you get register with them in order to have any kind of monetary type thing. You don't put any stock in all that stuff with this Bitcoin reserve.
No, because too much of the Bible is allegory. Too much of the Bible is bullshit.
Bullshit.
I mean, look, the New Testament. Okay, Christianity is based on the New Testament. Most of the New Testament is Paul, not Jesus. Okay, if you take all the words that Jesus actually said in the Bible, it's like what, 12 lines or something. Quotes. Actually, it's like what, 22 quotes or something like that. It's not very many. The rest of it is Paul, and Paul was a misogynist.
I'm Ron is showing a picture right now for people on the radio. This was circulating yesterday on the social media stuff. It looks backwards to me. Shouldn't Elon be in the driver's seat and Trump being the one leaning over because you just pulled up on them giving head? It looks
the symbolism is really beautiful. See, Trump thinks he's driving, but the car is actually driving. He's just behind the wheel. And that's how it is in the government. Trump is behind the wheel, but he's not driving the government.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a self-driving car. I forgot about that. But yeah, nobody's really driving. Elon is the one who kind of programmed everything, and Trump thinks he's really in charge. Hey, that's good metaphor. I just thought of a sexual thing. I mean, because it just
it does look like they just got caught giving a rim job or whatever they call it.
This is a scene from The Sopranos where you drive up and you just see Trump, and then all of a sudden the head pops up and like, oh yeah, there's a little something on your lip there, Elon. That's a lot of cum.
That's powdered.
Yeah. I don't know. Shut up.
Yeah, I got a tree guy coming by in about 45 minutes because the past couple of weeks we had all that rain and wind, and there's a tree that's on the side of my house, and it's like pulling out of the ground and leaning on my house now.
Did he give you the quote already? Because when I had tree work done here last year. I think the final bill was $12,400 or something like that.
And they also get rid of the wood, or did they? Because that sounds like they cut down the tree, they got rid of the wood, they refilled the hole, and then they sold the wood for profit. So they actually made like 15 or 16,000.
Definitely do that. They were chopping it up into logs, and definitely they were making some money on the firewood.
Oh yeah, 16. Yeah, it's like 16. They pocketed like $20,000.
Big time.
Yeah,
but
how many
you know what?
trees did they take down? Were they really tall trees?
Yeah, you watch them do it. It's scary as fuck. I mean, I would not, even though they're in a cage and whatever. The trees here are really tall, and they're up there, and they got weights and measures and balances to make sure they put it down straight. It's like, oh man, I would be the guy who would be on the hook for fucking somebody's house up. Oh, sorry about that. You were watching the game. Sorry. Now a tree is on top of you.
It's an art taking down big trees. It's an art because you gotta do it right, or something gets fucked up, either you or some property.
Wow.
I have all these roots sticking up out of the ground. Tree roots are just trying to fuck up my tractor mower. I have to figure out a way to deal with them because they're expanding. I was going to encase them in like a ring and put plants around them and more dirt. But now, when I measured out the ring and I dug up where I was going to put the edging, and then they're popping up outside the edging. It's like we will not be contained.
Yeah, the chat room was a little disappointed today. They were all psyched up for the gay talk, and Jason didn't show up. So I know they were hard waiting hard, walk hard. But you mentioned tractor mower there. I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah. That's my wife's nickname for me when I eat the grass.
Stream of consciousness stuff yesterday. I was thinking about because somebody, when there was a plane crash down on my beach, I posted a picture of that, and a comedian I know said, "Oh, it looks like a humble brag," because I was saying this is my backyard, and there was a plane crashed on the beach. He goes, "Oh, humble brag." I was like, "No, the beachfront front property here is not. You can tell beachfront property value. If there is a big boat in it, then it's valuable. If there's no boats, you know that beachfront property, you could have bought it for a song. And that my beach is not boatable. Nobody here has boats. But then I had this whatever. I remembered moving to Santa Mauritius, Long Island, which is on the South Shore, and the long roads now, rural roads. And I saw this guy had a tractor mower on the side of the road for sale. So I drove home, put my car in the driveway, and walked a mile up the road and I'm just going to drive this tractor mower down the road. And the guy said to me, "Why don't you just go get your truck?" I was like, "I don't have a truck." He goes, "You don't have a truck?" Like, what are you moving out here for? He said, "You don't have a truck. What do you tow your boat with?" I was like, "I don't have a boat." Like, "You don't have a boat?" So, basically, on Long Island, you measure wealth by do you have a boat or not have a boat, and how big is your boat. And in my area, I don't have a boat, so there's no humble brag here. I'm not rich. I'm the guy without the boat.
I could be rich and I still wouldn't have a boat.
But you have a tractor mower.
Oh yeah, because I need a tractor mower. I don't need a boat. I mean, if I were rich, I would. If I were rich, I would just have friends that have boats. I would not get a boat of my own because I wouldn't want to take care of it.
Honestly, most of the people who have boats don't need a boat and hardly ever use them. They buy the boat it's just to signify I got my boat. It's like an ID card for saying I'm one of the people with the Republican Party. That's what it is. It's a place to hang your Trump flags and your MAGA hat.
Now, when I was working for I don't want to say the company name, but it rhymes with DirecTV.
Erect me.
Yep, we were putting DirecTV service at a dock because there was a guy who lived on a boat.
Hold on, can I just stop you here for 1 second? You were working for a company that rhymes with DirecTV, but you were installing DirecTV service. That's not good. You were not
piracy.
The company you working for. But go ahead, continue.
Piracy. Yeah. Well, yeah. So the guy lived on a boat, and the boat was not that big. I think the boat was like, I was gonna say like a one-room boat. I mean, once you go in there, it's just like, the chair. There's like a sofa, but that's also his bed. It folds out. There's like, I don't even know why there's a toilet, because there should just be a hole in the boat, so you just piss and it goes right now.
That's a terrible idea. You're just dumping your shit right into the ocean or bay or wherever. Ugh.
Well, it's better than, I don't know. I mean, something will eat it.
Well, that's what I think about all these cruise ships. What these things are basically floating sewers. We see there's cities that just dumping their shit, and I'd hate to be a whale, like at the wrong time, swimming by at the wrong time when they're just emptying the shit tanks.
Well, in theory, these reputable places, they only dump their waste at, like on land. It's like when they do these cruises and they dock for like 6 hours, and you're like, when they're docking for like 6 hours and you're out like on a tour, that's so that they can get shit off the boat and more stuff on the boat. That's part of the thing.
Are they keeping the shit in tanks, or do like some of these
some of it's recycled, some of it's recycled,
like wastewater treatment? I would imagine like some of those places would have like a wastewater treatment on board.
Yes, the big ones have like their own wastewater treatment center.
And it's recycled into drinking water.
No, that's
so they can dump it. They can clean it and actually dump it like clean water back into the ocean.
Oh,
okay. And it's also recycled as toilet water, so that you can flush your clean toilet water again. So don't drink out of the toilet.
No, I won't.
Okay.
You would be like, you can clean like with today's chemicals. You can practically clean anything out of water.
Just about. Except for drugs.
Waste. You can do it. Like Frito-Lay, like the shit the water was so fucking dirty because you're pulling potatoes in from fields, and God knows what's in the fields, and you got to clean all that shit because like the water carries listeria and all sorts of other fucking
and
shit.
other mouthwashes too, not just listeria, but scope and other
Now, how
mouthwashes.
weird is that you would brand your mouthwash after a disease or sounding so much like a disease? That's just so weird. The people at Listerine need to rethink that. Change the brand name. Maybe it's a little too late.
And apparently, if you leave like corn masa sit in shit, corn masa can carry hepatitis.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
well, I haven't had a matzo in a while.
Masa. I thought you said masa.
Matzo.
Yeah, masa.
Yeah.
Masa.
Cornmeal.
Yeah. All right. We had no show
cornmeal. Good brew. No.
GD messed us up. He just, this is on him. That's all his fault. So send you hate mail. Especially if you were all excited to watch guys kiss today, and you're disappointed, you can send your hate mail to gd@gmail.com or something like that. Something like that.
Normally I just put my hate in the private chat, but today I'll send you an email.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, if you want to call me a cunt, send all of your cunt comments to drreverendjellyroll@gmail.com.
I think cunt will get you banned from the chat room. First of all, I'm surprised YouTube even allows that. Like, I thought they had automatic filters for that stuff. Like,
no, I thought they got rid of the filters. No, that's Facebook. Facebook got rid of them.
They have community guidelines that say you're not allowed to do that, and that will make you lose your account and all that kind of stuff. Be civil in the chat, and I don't know. I don't see so much civility going on over there. I don't know if you know this, but there's no civility going on.
I didn't know this about me, but I'm not a very civil person.
Yeah. I had a gig at a nursing home yesterday, and I showed up early. And they didn't want you to start.
So you caught them changing diapers?
No. First of all, I got there and there was a scheduling mix-up. I remember this very clearly. The person who books me there, they always want me on Wednesdays, but for some reason Wednesday was no good, so she moved me to Tuesday. But this was months ago. So I showed up there yesterday, and there was no traffic. So I got there almost an hour early. I walk in, and the whole staff is there, and they got tables set up in the place that I'm going to be performing. And I just looked at them like, I know I'm early, but this is not the setup that I'm used to. And they looked at me like, there's no music here today. I was like, I just drove 125 miles an hour.
I had a gig at a blues. I thought it was called like blues something. I think it's like in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's in Pennsylvania. I haven't been there for a long time. But my wife and I drove there. It took us like an hour to get there, like 90 minutes to get there. I guess it was a while. And so I get there and I go to the stage, and there's like a band playing, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm thinking, are they going to be finished in time? And so somebody says, can I help you? I said, yeah, I'm supposed to perform tonight. They said, no, the bands are like all night. I said, no, I'm doing comedy here tonight. And I told them who I was, and they were confused. So they went and got the person who's in charge of the hotel, the club and the booking and stuff. And she comes down, and I told her who I am and how I got booked. And she goes, we canceled this a month ago. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, we canceled this a month ago. So I called the guy. So she's standing right there in front of me. And I called the guy. And so he doesn't know she's standing in front of me. And I said, look, I'm under the impression that they said that this was, he goes, I said, there's a band playing tonight. I'm not booked. And he goes, let me call the booker. And he said, like, so he puts me on hold, and the woman's right there in front of me. And he comes back and says, look, he says, I just talked to her. There's just been a slight misunderstanding. He's not lying his fucking ass off. And I didn't tell him that she's standing right in front of me. And I just said, well, I don't think so. He's like, oh, let me check again. I said, check again. And he puts me on hold and he comes back and says, yeah, I talked to her. It'll get straightened out. It'll get straightened out. And I had to tell him, I said, look, she's right here in front of me. She's telling me she called you last month and canceled this.
You should have answered her phone.
He never called her, but
Oh.
I wish he'd actually called her. If he'd actually called her, her phone would have rang, and then I could let me talk to him. I'm right here.
Yeah. That's embarrassing. So yeah.
I've never worked with him again. Never.
Yeah. So, but you know what? It was a beautiful day out yesterday here on Long Island. I'm starting to feel spring, a little spring in my step, a little spring in you. If you don't get some spring in your ass, we'll be here all winter, whatever. I'm feeling good and happy to be out. And then I get this kind of show where my gay guy doesn't show up. He probably doesn't want to be known as my gay guy, right?
Well, not your gay guy. He doesn't mind being called the gay guy or that gay guy. He doesn't want to be your gay guy.
Are you sure he doesn't mind being called a or the?
It's right here in his write up here.
Speaking of cancellations, they're calling me again. Meta is on the phone with me right now. Fuck you, Meta. I keep getting this thing. I was supposed to go for a wearable study for Meta. They made me sign an NDA that I'm not even supposed to say that. And I am saying that. You could sue me. But I canceled it. I didn't want, I think it paid $350 for a 4-hour test. But I'm like, I don't want to, first of all, I don't want to help Meta out with anything. But I'm also thinking, what do they have, Meta, that would be a wearable technology that they're testing out on guinea pigs like me? Like, is it a social media, like, what is it, like something that taps directly into your fucking brain so you don't, what could they have for Instagram and Facebook, because that's Meta, right? I don't know if they got anything beyond that would be a wearable for their purposes. Can you imagine what it might be? I can't.
Right, glasses, right?
Right. But they keep writing back to me and call me now. You want to reschedule? No, I want to cancel. I don't want to do it. The reason I don't want to do it is not because I'm afraid that they're going to put like a Facebook probe up my butt or anything like that. Wearable.
It's a meta probe. It's a meta probe. Yeah. They stopped using Facebook probes.
The metaverse.
But it's because it's 9 a.m. in Manhattan, which means I would have to get up. I'd have to leave my house at 6 a.m. And like,
you could stay in Manhattan the night before. But
yeah, that's true. I could do that. I could go stay in Manhattan and pay that whole $350 for a cheap motel room.
Now, this is about Jason, and it's in a magazine called Bear World magazine.
Not Outer World? Why is
No, this is Bear World.
But Matt, have you seen Times Square?
So this is Bear World magazine, and it says, quote, "For the past few years, people have begun to approach me and say, 'You're that gay guy,'" Stewart explains. So
kind of like that 70s show, the gay guy. The gay guy show. Yeah. Well, you know what? So he is the one that's a significant thing. That gay guy, like he is he's not just any gay guy. He's that gay guy, which I just want to be that something. Oh, you're that idiot on the podcast in the morning, whatever. That instead of a is it's higher status, I think, right?
I really thought that Jason would have shown up because he wants to promote his April 13th show on Plausible. But we can't promote his April 13th show on Plausible because he's not here to talk about his April 13th show on Plausible.
Well, you could promote it for him. Just say,
I would, but I couldn't do it justice. I wouldn't even know what to say about his April 13th show on Plausible.
Do you know what it costs?
$10. I know it costs $10, but that's it.
And they would go to plausible.com.
I'm gonna jump, guys, because I got my tree guy coming here shortly, so I got to meet up with this guy.
Do me a favor, Ron. Ask him what to do about roots that keep coming up out of the ground, but don't make it sound like you're asking for free advice. Just get advice that you're not going to pay for.
Tell him to read the book. What was a wisdom place or a wisdom? What is the name of the book we just plugged?
The Wise Ass Place.
Wisdom of Place. That's what it was. All right.
All right, Ron.
See you later,
Yeah.
Ron. We're just gonna jerk each other off here now for
I wanted to ask them about the tree roots.
I can. What do you want to ask him about?
The tree roots. I was going to ask them about the tree roots and try to get some free advice.
Oh, well, you know what? One should have gotten together with Chip and Elizabeth and talked over what to do about these trees, because you don't want to just you don't want to take the magical aspect out of the landscape, right?
But I think once the tree starts falling over, the magic starts to tilt out because the magic flows like water. You know, it just goes down like this.
Anthony Jeselnik had a.
I'm sorry, that sounds so dirty. I'm sorry, Jeselnik sounds like.
I know it does. I would not. I just call myself Tony Jizz.
Yeah.
About a kid.
Nick Stain. Come Nick.
Yeah. A kid climbed a tree and fell on the fence that divides his property, and now he's got a big lawsuit with the
kid. He's suing the kid.
Yeah, because he can't. They want his half of the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I butchered that joke. It's his joke, and you know what? I'm sorry I butchered it up. But it could be a major concern. The problem is because with these trees, if something is growing over your property, that's your responsibility, even though the tree is rooted in the next door neighbor's yard.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way. I was well. I had my old job. I had a bucket van, and so whenever people in the neighborhood would needed like a tree trimmed or something, they would give me a few bucks, and I'd take my bucket van over, and I'd go up and I'd trim the trees or whatever. And so this one tree was like on one side of this yard. There was a picket fence, and then the tree was overhanging the other guy's house. And so he wanted me to cut the branches that were hanging over the house. I said, sure. So I went and did that. And then the person whose tree the tree was in, where the roots are, they came out and they started yelling at me for cutting their tree. But I said, but it's hanging over, you know. And it turns out, after all of that grief, that the fence was wrong. And the tree is actually in their yard. The fence was moved 2 feet too far to the other side. They went through this whole, if they had just not said anything, this guy still had the same size yard. But because he started arguing and back and forth, and they went in court and measured the yards, like, okay, turns out the fence is wrong. You just lost a tree and like 100 square feet of yard.
100 square feet. You square feet? No.
Well, it's 2 feet, 2 feet wide and 50 feet long.
All right. Yeah, man. All right. Now, Colonel Mike, as you know, got a promotion to General Mike just yesterday, but he's had another promotion. He's now Secretary of Defense, Colonel Mike Kaufman, who is here.
Don't do that to him. Then he has to start drinking. Doesn't he have to develop a drinking problem to be Secretary of Defense?
I think so. Yeah, I think it has to be so bad that you can't get to a press conference without 6 scotch and water.
I'm really sorry. We're sorry to do this to you, Mike, but you have to develop a drinking problem if you're going to have that job.
Mike, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but Mike introduced me to my drinking problem in 6th grade. I think where he was my gateway into the drug world. Maybe I shouldn't say that because it was before he went to West Point and got his whatever, and then became a big military guy and walk on the moon and whatever he did. But
before he enlisted, he was my AA sponsor. A lot of alcohol. A lot of alcohol.
Yeah. What the fuck was I going to talk about here?
I don't know, Mr.
Oh,
Andy.
This is probably before your time. Do you remember Kevin Nix? He was a guy who was in the chat room every day. Very opinionated guy. He's in the Air Force. He's a flight instructor. Stop. He's a real flight instructor for Air Force Training
Is this
Academy.
The guy that was working with Tom Cruise in the airplane movies that Tom Cruise was in? Was it
No,
Hot
no, no,
Scott?
no, 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 not that guy. He was in
Oh,
the chat room like every day, but he got mad at me when we were talking about two guests I had on the night before who wrote this book about ownership. Because who owns the space above your house? And he was adamant that he was absolutely right, being an aviator and talking about this stuff, that nobody owned none of that space in the air. Nobody owns that. And I was like talking about this issue with the tree above your house, that you do own that. You're responsible for that. He was really angry, like, "Yeah, you don't know anything. I teach this stuff." Well, you don't teach law. You're not a lawyer. These
right.
guys were both lawyers, and we were discussing that ambiguous space that the law doesn't really cover, who's responsible for that and who really owns that and all this stuff. But he
I
hasn't been back since then.
I thought it was like up to like so many, like 100 feet or something like that, which is why if I thought it was like a matter of 100 feet, because like power lines just don't get to go across your yard. They need easement. And if that were the case, it's not touching your grass. It wouldn't need easement because it's up in the air.
Well,
So
this is where it gets dicey, and especially for him because he's not just a pilot and a guy who teaches aviation, but he's also a drone guy. And subject comes up about people shooting down drones. Do they have the right to do that if it's over their house? No, according to him, nobody. You don't own the space above your house, and I think that's probably consistent with most legal scholars would talk about. But it changes based on those. That's the idea we were just talking about, like tree limbs. You do, somebody owns that because somebody's responsible for that. If it falls on you, if their drone falls on you, are they not responsible for that? So
right.
somebody, yeah, that's who owns that space.
And
It's
also depending on where you live, like if I were in my yard digging up, let's say bodies or something, and I found dinosaur bones. So better yet, I found a gold. Let's say there's a gold mine under my yard that just need to be excavated. In theory, I wouldn't have minimal rights to that. But the water, but my water well goes like 200 feet deep, and I own that well, which is 200 feet, and I'm responsible for that 200 feet. But if I found gold, let's say 5 feet beside that, I wouldn't own the gold because I wouldn't have the mineral rights.
Let me call Jed. My friend Jed. I don't know if you know my friend Jed. He was shooting at some food. Up comes through the ground, come a bubbling crude. I don't know if he's really rich. Jed. Yeah, we're not sure you own that oil. In Tennessee. You got to go back. Yeah. All right. Say goodbye to Beverly. You all come back now. You hear? All right.
Now, according to the Google machine, says as a property owner, you have legal rights. You have legal rights to some airspace above your property, but additional airspace above your home is considered part of the public domain and belongs to the U.S. government. It doesn't say about how much property.
Right.
Let's see here.
Here's the weird part about this. This issue was such an emotional trigger for Kevin Nix, who had been in the chat room every day for 4 years from the very first program. That once we had that discussion, he was so angry he's never been back since, and he boycotted the program. That's weird, right? To get that emotional over this topic. It's just, I don't know, it's stunning to me what people can get triggered by. Anyway, we didn't have gay guys kissing on the show today. I apologize. I know I overpromised and underdelivered here today, right? But you can go see a gay guy, that gay guy, on Plausible. April 13th, was that the date? April 13th?
Yeah, April 13th.
Is that a Friday?
I don't know. I had to stand up and I had to stand up and move my calendar.
That's bad
Well,
luck.
actually, no, because it has the next month on there, right? No. Wow, this is the first calendar I've ever had that didn't show the previous month. And oh, there it is. It's just print is just so fucking small.
April 13th is a Sunday, right? It's Palm Sunday. No wonder, Palm Sunday, and no wonder my palms were itching today. It all comes back. It all makes sense now. This was a terrible show, right? We should never do this again.
We should do it again, but just not in this order.
All right. I have Rhonda Britton on tonight. Wait, he gay? Ha gay? Steven saying ha gay. What you got to use punctuation. Ha comma gay, right? And exclamation point. These chat room people don't know how to use. Well, I'm wondering. You know what, Steven? This might be a time to test out. I don't know if you're such inclined, but the reverse willy. We call it a reverse willy. I don't know if you know this, but my father died with my dick in his mouth. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. I'm sad. I have nothing to offer a program today, so that's what I'm coming up with. I don't know if you know this, but
I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't have anything to say.
right.
I'm reading, and it's like they want you to buy the book before they tell you about how much airspace you own above your house.
Yeah. You know what the tricky one is, though? The litmus test that I don't think has ever been tried in the courts. And this is the thing that triggered Kevin, as I was saying, all this stuff is ambiguous legal stuff, and none of it has really been tested in the court. The space in front of you in an airplane, between you and the seat in front of you, who owns that? Because that guy coming back, he thinks he owns that. You sitting behind him think you own that, right?
I think in that case, neither one owns the space. You're leasing it.
You're renting it.
Yeah, you're renting it from the air, so it belongs to the airport.
I don't know if you know this, but my dick is in Steven's mouth right now.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Now, why are you doing this from a hospital at a very inappropriate time?
I think he's trying to give his father one.
And you're eating.
So you're in the cafeteria, or you're eating your dad's food because he can't. It's like that looks good.
Well, he has a feeding tube, so no, I'm just eating
Yeah, exactly. This is a good time to see if he could actually suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
I'm gonna have to go with the hard no on that one.
Hard no.
Take the feeding tube and go. I thought you had a milkshake. What is that white stuff?
Hard no. Now, did you? I want to get. Let's have a little bit of a touching moment here. Did you say, "Daddy, I'm sorry. I love you. I just want you to know that I wish we would have had a closer relationship. I love you, Daddy." Did you say that?
No, I told him he was fucking stupid for drinking still.
Oh, you know, my father.
Is he drinking through a tube?
Well, no, now he's not drinking at all.
My father had lung cancer and had a lung and a half pulled out. So now he's operating on one lung. I pull up to the house and he's got a Marlboro in his hand.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I was getting a ride in a tow truck. This is a few years ago, when I was working for a company that runs with DirecTV. And I was getting a ride in the tow truck, and it was like 104 degrees outside. It was hot as fuck. And so the guy in the tow truck pulls up. I get in, and he's got a nude picture of his wife on a taped to the dashboard. And so, and I get in, and he goes, and he just says, "That's my wife." Just points out, "That's my wife there." Now, first of all, she was not an attractive woman, and she looked like she was being held hostage, to be honest. She looked like, "You posted this picture, I'm going to beat you again." That's what it looked like. She looked scared and like she was under duress. And so, and like I said, it's hot. And this is a tow truck. It has no air conditioning. So the windows so they got the 250 air conditioning, where both windows are rolled down. If you drive 50 miles an hour, you get like a cross current.
Yep.
And so he lights up a cigarette. We're in his truck. I can't stop him from smoking. He lights up a cigarette, and then he just starts coughing and coughing and coughing. And then he says, "It's the heat." And he blames he blames the heat for the coughing. And he says something. Then he says something like, "Yeah, this heat is awful because I only have half a lung." And he's had a lung and a half removed. He's smoking, but he's blaming the heat on the coughing. I was sorry. That was just amusing to me.
All right.
Stephen, you said you were making final decisions for your dad. So are you deciding that he's a good person now?
No, I'm
keep him alive till the next election.
Oh well, that's no.
Because you're making the decisions for him.
Yeah, you can vote for him.
Well, I mean, technically, if we're going by that, then I can probably vote for him years after he dies. So,
shall we have the entire listening audience say a prayer for Stephen's dad? That you know.
Stephen, would you mind leading the prayer? Because we don't know your father very well. We just know that you're his son. At least we think we know you're his son.
Well, that was the first mistake.
Yeah.
You know what? I was thinking about you on the way, and this is on the long drive from the gig. Thinking about Steve because yesterday Stephen was showing off his biceps, right? And I'm like,
yeah, 23 inches.
Well, here's the deal. You know, I would expect him to have strong arms with with all the stuff he does, crutches and then the wheelchair. But this is a tricep thing, not a bicep thing. Biceps is this curling and almost everything you need to build up strong biceps requires back, lower back. And I know you don't really have a back. Somebody came and took your back. You're all front.
You're spineless, yeah.
You're backless. It's like you're a backless dress. So how did you? Where did the biceps come from? You bought them. You like Carrot Top. You bought them, didn't you? He's got.
I don't think he knows the answer to that.
Say that again. You broke up there at the end.
I think
you broke up a little bit at the end. Say that again.
You bought your biceps like Carrot Top. Not only are you stealing from Landau, you're stealing Carrot Top's bits by buying biceps, right? We lost Stephen. He doesn't.
Yeah,
you know what? Yep. This is a good way to get out of it when you're on the stand. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. My hearing aid. You're on trial, and all of a sudden you've gone deaf and mute. Good excuse. All right, get the fuck out of my room if you're not going to stand and face it. Get out of here.
So Stephen, So Stephen, you're familiar with the Daredevil lore, right? But Daredevil and stuff like that.
He can't hear you.
Okay,
we'll get rid of him. Get rid of that fucking guy. And why am I on the wrong side? I'm on the wrong side here. I'm on the wrong side. Yeah, we should wrap this up because this has been the worst show ever, hasn't it?
No, I think the worst show ever was the first show that you had just before you invited me on as
with that Border Patrol dude.
Well, but that was a very productive show for him. He learned a lot. He learned a fucking lot because his next interview was totally different.
Maybe
it was. I watched it.
I'm betting he still voted for Trump this time, though.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying that his verbiage, like he was talking one way with us, and when he talked, on the second one, he brought up his Native American ancestry and stuff like that, so he doesn't come off as a racist that he was.
Yeah. I would love to know where my ex-brother is on this stuff because the whole time during the election cycle, he was saying stuff like they could never cut Medicaid and Social Security. You know what that would mean? That's just talk. They're never going to do that. You can't put all these older people into poverty. And they would never do that. I just wonder, because this is his whole existence. First of all, Medicare and Social Security. Without that, he'd be destitute. And guess what? They're cutting it. I just wonder where he is on it. Is he having buyer's remorse now, or is he still hardcore on the Trumper train, knowing that all the stuff he was telling me, they would never do that. They're doing that.
Okay, Matt just asked me to put this message out there. All of you people who voted for Trump, we're going to have 2 days of Trump calls. On Monday, we want you to call in if you voted for Trump and you still support him, and you need to explain why. Now, on Tuesday, we're going to take calls if you voted for Trump, but you have buyer's remorse, and we want you to explain why. That's Monday and Tuesday of next week. Right? Yeah.
Monday, you know what? I should have been fucking doing this earlier.
Monday
is St. Patrick's Day. And all next week we will be cooperating with the Podcastathon. We are the only live thing. No, you just tune in where you tune in. I don't know. We don't
would
really
have
have
been one of 2 live shows, but they didn't get back to the Reverend about his. So fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. You're right. You know what? Maybe we'll just say that because if they were driving new traffic to, and I'm sure they will be, people will be hearing the show for the first time on this podcast that's on network there. We'll just bash them the whole time and say, "Hey, you could have had the Rev on, but fuck you, you racist scumbags." What was the charity the Rev would have served anyway?
Oh, it's ASPCA, you mangy mutt. And they're coming to
Oh.
take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. The funny farm where life is beautiful all the time, and I'll be happy to see those nice young men. Oh, see, I can't do it. I used to be able to do that with one breath. I'm getting old.
Yeah, I used to be able to pee all at once. But for the copyright strike, because you don't even need any music. The way you just did that sounded exactly like the record. Well, we're probably screwed.
I used to do the. If you remember the record, the backside had the same record in reverse, and I learned to do that when I was a kid. That's how I learned to talk backwards, was because of that record. No,
that was Dr. Demento, right?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know who
I think it
wrote
was
that
Dr.
now.
Demento. And the echo, I think that was like a played echo. A weird kind of. One of these days when they had to be really inventive about how they recorded things, because I think that was before multi-tracking or just at the beginning of multi-tracking. So they had to use that echo in real time. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, I say. All right, I'm gonna end this thing. I should go back to sleep, but I gotta go get some supplies. You know what I mean?
It doesn't. It was written and performed by Jerry Samuels. Billed as Napoleon the 14th.
What?
Yeah.
Gary Shandberg or Shandling?
Jerry Samuels.
Oh, Samuel.
But his nom de plume was Napoleon the 14th.
Napoleon the 14th. That's so weird.
That's the name he performed under.
It was on the Dr. Demento radio show often enough. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap this up. No Jason Stewart. Jason Stewart will probably be here 2.5 hours from now. And you tune in and we won't be here. But so there. I got to get to work on stuff.
Same here.
All right. So I'm just telling people to turn on their radio, right? Don't forget to buy the book, Wisdom of Place.
And also, don't forget to buy Jason's book, Shut Up, I'm Talking.
I didn't know he had a book. I was on his website. I would have. A good thing I did. He didn't show up because I didn't have his book ready. He does.
Yeah.
He does have a book out, huh?
And he's he was on a series. The series is still running. It's called Smothered. They did 2 seasons, and so it's still running.
Well, since he didn't show up, you don't got to buy the book. You don't got to buy the book.
But you have to buy the book to find out what was in the book that he didn't talk about. If you want to buy if you want to know what he would have said about the book, you have to buy the book.
I think when you open the book, like a guy pops out and kisses you right on the lips.
I think it's a pop-up book, but I don't think it's a guy. I don't think it's the whole guy. I think it's like
when they say pop-up book, it means when he sticks his tongue in your mouth, your dick will pop up.
Okay, and I was thinking
the homophobe in me is going to barf coffee all over my screen right now.
Well, does that now?
Tune
Coffee up. Do you have to get more Good Brew? Will that come back up also, or will that be digested? Do you have to replace the Good Brew if you barf up your coffee?
It will be probiotic barf, meaning
so be healthy.
My barf is full of good bacteria.
Well, I told them I would keep them in abreast of how this is working.
You think Ian got a job? I mean, I want to say goodbye, but I'm just noticing Ian has been very scarce lately. He didn't surrender and go back to like a regular job, did he? Or he just got sick of us after all this time?
He could be doing time. He could have committed a crime, with all the waste, fraud, and abuse that Musk has found. Ian may have gotten caught up in that, and he's now on, maybe he got deported.
Keep his eye on the sparrow when the going gets narrow. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't. Yeah, and too bad.
It's
Steven
also
isn't here.
possible he got deported because not everybody that got deported was supposed to be deported.
Oh, but the ones who did not get deported, they still have Ebola. So we made a little mistake. We'll fix
Or
it.
the measles. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So in the meantime, tune in tonight at 8 p.m. with me with Rhonda Britton, and we'll talk about Oprah. Nothing but no. It's about fearless living. Here's the deal. I got to take another minute here. Last week I had Daniel Toussaint on, who was a holistic healer guy, and he started talking about the mind-body connection. And he said, let's take, for instance, you're afraid of snakes. Now, looking at you, I could tell you're not a guy who's afraid of snakes. And he just went on. And I was thinking, the whole time I'm thinking, boy, is this guy wrong. First of all, I'm not only afraid of snakes, I'm afraid of everything. Bees, snakes, spiders, butterflies. You're not going to find a person who's more full of fear. And I'm not talking about phobias. Yeah, I'm afraid of heights and all that stuff. But tonight, living fearlessly, I'm afraid of failure. I'm also afraid of success. So where does that leave me? I mean, don't do anything. You won't find. I am the ultimate litmus test for this lady. If she can make me adopt a fearless position on life, she's done something, because I'm a neurotic mess. When I talk about Richard Lewis, the reason he was funny was his neurosis was on display, and I didn't think he was funny for many years until I realized the reason I don't think that's funny because he's doing me. He's showing like the neurotic mess I am to myself, and to me that was a little too close to home. It took me a while.
I liked him, but after a while I found him bored because I said, okay, he's just making shit up to be neurotic about now. Nobody, that's how I started, because this is his shtick. He can't, veer from that. Otherwise, why are you telling a normal joke? What happened to your neurosis?
Yeah. All right. So if anybody is in touch with Ian, tell him, come back, Ian. We miss you. And
if anybody's seen Jason, tell him, see him on April 13th on plausible.com. $10.
Yeah. And until then, don't forget to turn on your radio. Bye for now.
Talk about hack-exhilarating.
Walk around nappy. What you wanna do, baby? me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to